Well, that was sudden.
Yeah, was it just me? I was going to say. I didn't do it. I don't know what just happened. Good morning. StreamYard broke on us. Yeah.
That's what it says.
How's everybody doing? Morning.
Doing good. Glad to be here. Another week over. Easter is almost upon us.
Yep, it is. We have Andre the Boss Man here with us. How you doing,
Passover
Andre?
starts Saturday night.
Yeah. No, I'm well. Other than StreamYard's issues, I'm well.
We also have Scribe Light with us. How you doing?
Doing all right. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a good Friday and entryway to the weekend.
Paul is here because we can't get rid of him.
Yay.
I'm easily dispensed with. Say the word.
Not really. People would miss you.
Only because their aim is off.
And those people would begin with us. We'd miss you.
Thank you.
Yes. And we also have Chris here, who's been gone all week, but we're glad to have him here today. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm finally coming up for some air. Glad to be here. Always glad to be here.
Come up for some air.
Air, yeah.
Air.
Well, I'm in post-production on a pretty big project, and you guys know how that is.
Oh yeah.
Just glad to be here.
I hate the long stuff now. The long productions. I don't.
Oh,
Hey.
no, Chris Braley's master. Hey, master.
Hey, that's all. That's it. Just a taste. It's actually 4 long-form videos for this client, and it's a long-time client. So, they got the sweet deal, and they have the access to text me at all hours. It's just one of those. Yeah, it's one of those. But we turned it in yesterday to high praise, and I won't have any feedback until next week. So I got the rest of the weekend off. Going to a concert tonight from one of the greatest bands you've never heard of, The Unsatisfied. I actually reproduced their documentary that's on Amazon Prime. If you want to ever check it out, it's called Ambition Withdrawal. It's about a band from the Southeast. Yeah. Totally unrelated, but much more fun to make that. Although that was done back in the old SD days. That was recorded on mini DV tapes.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my gosh. That's ancient history. I know. Still have some of those tapes.
Nice.
I bet they're outlasting some of those Warner Brothers DVDs. Who knows?
Yeah.
No, glad to be here,
Perhaps.
Glad to be
We're
here.
glad to have you. Let's see what the audience is talking about. We got Dr. Long Dongler in the chat sending us $1.99 to remind you
to pound
that like
99.
button. Yeah, well, or if you got 99, pound it. That's right.
I say so.
That's right. And then we got Grimzilla here who says Vanessa Kirby admitted F4 will tackle female politics. So F4 is cooked. Superman is looking worrisome. So looks like Jurassic is set to clean house this July since Edwards said he's returning it to dinosaur horror. Yeah, we'll see. I mean,
if he's correct, I think Grimzilla's right. I think if he, I'm worried about the soups and the FFs.
I don't think anybody's going to care as much as far as like box office wise about Jurassic, but
and Vanessa Kirby actually used those words.
She used
female
gender
politics,
not female. She said gender politics.
Well, that's one of our stories this morning.
Just bad.
I think there's really 4 elements that are going to hurt the Fantastic Four movie, but we can get into that when we get into
that. We'll get into that.
Funny that number. Ruby Hoove gifted a membership. Thank you for that. And Hypergiver 2 says, so who wants to bet Johnny Storm is gay now? Well,
he's definitely not toxic anymore.
I'm not putting money on that shit.
Right. Not toxic.
Anyone who yells flame on.
Ooh,
flame on. I'm flaming.
Oh, chef's kiss.
Nice. Ruby Hoove has been a member for 10 months. Thank you for that. Mr. Tickle Trunk says Disney's Fantastic Four will be very Disney and DOA. Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Patrick Robinson says, just watched all the Hell House LLC movies. Don't know why it took me so long to get to them, but now I'm more excited for the newest coming out in October. Had anyone else seen these movies? No, I can't say I have, but it looked like Chris might know what they are.
Well, enjoy the journey, Patrick. Enjoy the journey. I've never heard anyone complain about those. It's wonderful. Good for Patrick.
Looks like there's something I need to check out. Mm-hmm. Dark Hero Fan says, is it too early to call it Failtastic 4 yet? Well, we'll come up with a good one. That's pretty good.
Come on.
I like Hollywood. That one. May have to use that.
I like it. Yeah, that's a title. Just waiting to be titled.
Hollywood Burns says with Thunderdolts and
That's you, Tom. That was good, Tom.
is Marvel or Disney or Disney Marvel, that is brand damage.
Oh yeah.
Both?
Yeah. Well, Disney has damaged not only the Marvel brand, but the Star Wars brand, and I think the Indiana Jones brand. I mean, so
There really
let's
was
be
not
honest,
an Indiana Jones brand, let's be real.
Disney have also damaged the DC brand and all other comic book brands by proxy by the MCU sucking so badly, because I've always maintained that the quality of the MCU at one point in time artificially upheld everything else. It artificially boosted and stuff like that because of the goodwill that they provided. Whereas now people go into any comic book movie and expect it to suck. That's because of the MCU. That's the MCU effect right there. And the ones that suffer the most from that is DC. Now, of course, DC, they have done a fantastic job at destroying themselves. Let's not delude ourselves about that. But I maintain, as of right now, Marvel has done great damage to not just themselves, but DC and all other comic book movies. So, well done.
Falling tides lower all boats.
Falling tides. Yep, you got it.
Exactly.
This is going to be a punny episode.
I
can
like
tell.
that.
The Friday shows are always fun for that very reason.
All right, so let's keep moving here. We got Dark King who says 4 years a member, and all I got was this Tropic Thunder t-shirt. Well, at least you got that. I didn't.
I want one.
Yeah, with impending failure of Fantastic Four, I'm seriously wondering if we should replace writers with AI. At least Slop that won't have the Slop won't have a union. Well, you know what's funny is we just covered a story on this last night, because they're doing Wizard of Oz enhanced by AI in the Sphere Dome down in Vegas.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to add like a bunch of stuff around the actual movie itself. Like it looks okay from some of the stuff I've seen, and I've seen other stuff like this already. But we were also talking about how James Cameron is like really pushing for AI to be the future of filmmaking.
Oh yeah, he's done a turnaround, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I
think
still don't see how
he's a cyborg from Skynet sent back to destroy movies.
Yeah, he's no longer James Cameron. He's been taken over. And it's like, you warned us, dude.
Yeah. That Wizard of Oz idea, wouldn't that be cool if the Dome in Vegas was using Dark Side of the Moon as the soundtrack for that?
Better yet, exactly. Yes.
Ooh.
And there's like a
Great.
bunch of other things I could think to do with that before Wizard of Oz. I mean,
Well, yeah, me too. Be cool to see.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Not yet anyway, Dark King, it doesn't. King of Hearts 985 says with 499. Thoughts on the Tron Ares trailer? Looks good to me. I'm cautiously optimistic. Legacy is one of my favorite films. Maybe we'll get a 4K release now. I'm not even totally sure unless they go back. I think they shot it with the 4K cameras, but it's in a 2K master when it comes to that. But that being said, on Tron Ares, I remember Andre. I don't remember who it was we were talking to, but this was a while back. There was 2 scripts for the next Tron movie. One was in the Tron world, and the other one was not in the Tron world. The cheaper one, they called it. And lo and behold, what does it look like we're getting? The cheaper one.
The one Disney can afford after all their failures.
My first thought in seeing the trailer, I thought to myself, I know this is a bit of a reach back. I thought He-Man in Los Angeles, because I was just like, this is just taking a fantasy world and lowering the budget and putting it in the real world where it doesn't really belong. It doesn't really. I mean, I'll be curious to see how they decide to work it into the plot and everything. But as soon as you take a complete fantasy world and cross it over into the real world, I think you've lost something, because there's so many more stories you could tell in the grid. If the animated series didn't prove that, I don't know what else you'd need.
Well, there's also the issue of physics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
There's
that too.
one moment where the Tron cycle is able to slice a corporeal police car in half.
Yes.
Okay, so how are they explaining that? That to me was a bit.
I agree, Paul. That was my issue with it. Because look, yes, the last movie was leading up to a program or whatever becoming human. I get it. That's fine. But how do you justify all the other stuff in their world coming to the real world? Because I was always under the understanding, and I was actually taught the simplicity of computers through Tron, right? Like, so all the other stuff that goes on in the world, I understand is an operating system. So it only works in that world because it's that world.
Yeah. And the fact the MacGuffin is that your pixelated experience inside the game, they made it such that if it is destroyed, then your corporeal being is also destroyed. And I'll accept that within the context of a silly movie, but they did that on Sword Art Online too, but that was a virtual game where the helmet itself, the manufacturer made it that if your character in game died, then the helmet would kill you, which made it even more believable.
Yeah.
Right. That's an anime. That's a fantastic anime. But bringing like digital creatures, although they kind of did that in what was this Adam Sandler film?
Pixar one. That's what I said too. Pixels. Pixels. I don't want Pixar.
Which I kind of enjoyed, actually.
Yeah.
I
think
it wasn't bad.
Then
just unplug your brain.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. King of Hearts. I agree. The teaser does look good, and he talks about Star Trek Legacy. Fantastic soundtrack too from Daft Punk. I gotta say,
amazing.
I don't know that Nine Inch Nails is going to quite recapture it. I think Trent Reznor will definitely try. But just as an aside, and I dropped this in the chat, there was a very clever movie editor that took the Daft Punk soundtrack from Tron Legacy and did a 22-minute edit of Star Trek, the motion picture, and it's called Star Trek Legacy. And he's using that music. Guy's name's Patrick Collins or something like that. I dropped a link in the chat, but if you guys haven't seen Star Trek, the motion picture lately, it's a great revisit because
you have to hook me up with that.
What's that, Andre?
You have to hook me up with that.
I'll drop the link in the private chat, but I also dropped it in the YouTube chat.
I could do that for the 09 movie, but I don't know if I could. To me, to pull Goldsmith out of the original motion picture,
agreed.
To me, is just sacrilege.
It is not a replacement, but it's definitely like if you wake up and say, I need a little classic Star Trek in my diet this morning. You can do it in 22 minutes, and it'll make you, honestly, every time I've watched it, and I've watched it about a dozen times, every time I've watched it, it makes me want to go back and revisit the 4K of the original.
Because outside of the new theme that I think it was Tyler Bates, I think, who did the music for the 09 film, outside of his new theme that he brought to the table, all the rest of it is just recycled stuff from the old movies and stuff anyway. So like that, I wouldn't have a problem with, but I don't know if I could touch
Daft Punk. When somebody shared it with me, I was like, man, I don't even know if I want to watch this. This sounds sacrilegious, because I agree with you. Goldsmiths is, it's the gold standard, right?
Right. I mean,
it's a neat experiment. It's worth looking at. It's on Vimeo too, and you can find it. You just type Star Trek Legacy Daft Punk. You'll find it. Yeah.
Michael Giacchino did those. Okay. I knew it was one of either Tyler or Michael, one of those two.
Thank you,
but,
Hunter.
Thank you for the correction, Hunter.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's an interesting sight to see, possibly.
I will also say that Tron Legacy to this day remains possibly the best experience I ever had in a theater.
In 3D, you mean, right?
The 3D greatly helped. That is one of the very.
Oh, you just mean in general? Okay.
I mean in general, but I will say that that's one movie where the 3D and how they did it greatly elevated the experience, and also just like the whole experience of who I saw the movie with and everything. It was just a perfect experience, so enjoyable. So I'm also a huge fan of Tron Legacy. I hope that Tron Ares is going to be good. It's a movie I want to like, but I do have reservations. But I hope to be proven wrong about it. I mean, the director is fine. I've actually met the director of it, so he's a Norwegian.
Yeah, I hope it's good. I mean,
I hope it's good.
I liked the last one too, and I'm a big fan of the first film. So I mean. I want it to
I'll
be
be the
good.
first to admit that it is, if it isn't, but I hope it'll be
Yeah,
good.
but Jared Leto gives me pause every time.
Me too. I'm not a Jared Leto guy at all.
It's not that I hate him or anything. It's just that almost every movie he makes is something wrong with it.
He needs to stay away from genre fare and go back to like real cinema where he truly excels.
It was fine in Requiem for a Dream.
Go get AIDS and lose some weight and do something like that. Yeah.
He did this one movie, Mr. Nobody, that just basically goes nowhere. I mean, it really just chalk it up.
Well, I think the title should have told you that.
Yeah. Well, he had a band called 30 Seconds to Mars.
Oh God, yes.
Was doing that Fuel TV series back in the early aughts. One of our hosts and him met up. Let's just say, I'll leave it there. Yeah, and he's kind of my impression of him is negative. I'll leave it there.
Well, he's got his own little cult, He thinks he's Jesus,
and he expects to be worshipped as such.
I've heard.
Yeah,
I look forward to hearing the stories of how he's going to go method for Skeletor during the Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Is he going to peel his face off?
Oh no!
Who knows? Apparently, he grew up watching the cartoon and stuff. So we'll see if he meant
interesting.
That unlike Kevin Smith. But
that may be his only qualification.
If he can come up with some decent insults, then we may be up for something. But
he needs to refer to Evelyn as "you boob" or something like that.
Fish.
Well, he usually comes up with the better ones for Beastman and Cyclops.
Yeah,
those are the two that usually in Merman. Those are the ones that usually.
Excuse me, you mean Triclops?
Boobs.
Triclops.
Did I say Cyclops? I meant Triclops. Sorry,
Triclops. I
actually, yeah, I haven't ate yet today. Don't mind me. But anyhow, let's keep moving. We've got Dark King here who says 4 years a member. No, we got this one already. We got this one already. Daryl Brewer sends in gifts 10 freaking memberships. Holy crap! That's a lot.
That's fantastic. We're going to have a membership stream this weekend. I think
we have to.
We are way overdue. So, but now Sunday, we'll have a membership stream.
Sunday. Jason Webster says with $2, thunder dolts, more like thunder farts. Yeah, well, we'll see.
Thanks, Jason.
It's all over the place. STR Red Wolf says, Hail Midnight's Edge in the morning. Just heard Humble Bundle has all of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time books. Ebook format up for $18. Tempted to get them. Well, that sounds like a pretty good deal.
Yeah,
it sounds better than watching the crappy Amazon series. So
yeah,
that's why we're mentioning it.
Then Flying Blind on a Rocket Cycle says, with the original Tron movie, they created wonderful world to explore. The new movie may be good, but it's disappointing and a lost opportunity. Well, hopefully it's good. I don't want to like poo-poo on anybody who's enjoying it. I just was sitting here going, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Because I was like with Paul, I'm like, that proves some logistical problems in the real world compared to the Tron world.
Yeah, so basically you want to invent a death laser. Well, basically just go into the computer and retrieve it from there, because the computer gods have figured out all kinds of technology and shit for you. That's kind of like the thing that now it's no longer the computer world. Now it's the quantum realm with its own civilization and everything like that. Yeah, like this is where it's getting ridiculous.
And the Matrix solved it by revealing that people were actually a computer simulation. That's how they solved it. So there were consequences to actions. So
there are people who have that theory, Paul, that this movie is like taking place in a Matrix world. That's
our world is a Matrix world. Oh yeah.
Well, in the movie we're going to see in Tron 3, yeah.
Oh well, if they're going to do that,
then all is forgiven.
That's kind of a cheat.
If that's the twist, then yeah, sure.
I mean, they're going to come up with some twist. We know that, obviously.
I keep thinking 13th floor. Do you guys ever see the 13th
yes.
floor?
Oh yeah, that was great.
That's what I suddenly think of. Yeah, that's what I suddenly think of if they're going to do a simulation of the real world, but Tron is invading it or something.
Sure. I like the video game better than the original movie. I mean, or actually, there were a couple of video games, arcade games. There was one with the discs of Tron, which I couldn't do at all. But the other one that had like 4 games in one with the spiders and the light bikes and all that, I enjoyed that. I didn't think the first movie was that great, but I did think Legacy was the superior product.
Oh, for sure.
The animated series, if you haven't seen it, it's really good. It's
Is
really
that what
good.
was, Paul was talking about earlier? The animated series?
No,
Tron Uprising.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Okay.
Yeah,
No, I have not watched
Uprising.
that.
Elijah Wood is one of the voices, and
Okay.
they get Bruce Boxleitner in to play Tron and everything. And it's kind of a shame it didn't go any further than it did, because it was actually pretty good. It didn't talk down to the audience about stuff and made use of the world in an interesting way.
I think we all accept the legacy of the first movie and the incredible advancement that it made in computer animation, and it was leaden in many ways, but purely as a result of the fact that technology was not really there to pick up the pace. You just have to watch it, sort of like 2001, and just go, wow, that's, what an achievement it was. So,
and what a risk. I mean, there was no technology. I mean, they had to make the technology to make that movie happen at the time. If you try to think of something equitable these days, I don't even imagine that a studio would want to invest.
Disney doesn't even do that. I mean, that was also back in the era when they did the Black Hole, which I still like the Black Hole. I know a lot of people think it's a little bit cheesy.
I love
Andre
the
likes
Black
it.
Hole.
I think it's beautiful, and I think
And
robots with eyes. No,
for the longest, for the longest of time, like Kosinski, who did Tron Legacy, was actually in talks. He really wanted to do a remake of the Black Hole. Now, there's not many movies that I want to see remade.
Yeah.
But him doing a remake of the Black Hole, I'd be all for that.
Yeah, I think I would too, actually. And no eyeballs on the robots.
No eyeballs on the robots. So they were.
I like the eyeballs on the robots.
No, they were way too toyific, or whatever the word is.
Do you think they can get an AI voice of Roddy McDowell to do the floating robot?
Oh man,
I think
as long as he's in a monkey outfit, I'm fine.
Okay, I can get with that. What was the trash heap looking floating one called that was voiced by Slim Pickens? I don't think Slim Pickens was even credited in that movie, now that I think about it.
I want a remake of Zardoz.
No, you don't.
No.
Zardoz.
Sean Connery.
Maybe you can have Pierce
underwear.
Brosnan in this one.
I just thought Maximilian was so cool. I mean, and so Disney was really taking risks, and now they're just like, what classic cartoon can we remake in our library?
Exactly.
How far they've fallen.
Yeah.
They didn't make a lot of money back then, though. People have.
No, you're right.
People have this terrific memory of the golden era of the Shaggy Detective or the Shaggy DA and all this stuff, and they weren't a money machine on the movie front. It was really Eisner that brought all that together.
Yeah.
But those were still.
I love
great
Eisner movies.
Great movies.
Strongest Man in the World.
Katzenberg.
I was just to say, yep, Katzenberg. Yeah, more like
but you have to have
Katzenberg,
management. You can't do it without management that's backing you up. You have to have someone support.
But Paul knew where I was headed there with that. But totally. But anyhow, who wants to see what Supergirl might look like?
Sure. I'm more worried about Fantastic Four based on what I've been reading.
Yeah, we're going to get into that here too, but I happen to have come across what possibly is what she's going to look like.
This is for real. You're just pulling her leg.
No, this is real. This is real. Because video came out yesterday of her and Lobo from far away, and nobody could really see it. Well, this does pretty much look like what she's wearing in the video.
Zoom in.
That's on brand. Yeah, she looks a lot like the woman playing Invisible Girl, Vanessa Kirby, in that picture.
I can't make it any bigger than that.
Okay.
Looks good.
We got one of Lobo, because I'd be much more.
No, we don't have one of Lobo. It's too far away. You can't see. This is actually some sort of. This looks like it's off of a toy design or something or other. This is some production art. This is not a real picture.
It looks almost like AI production art. Did Jim Cameron working on this movie?
Actually, it doesn't look very AI to me, but
that pose looks like it to me, but whatever.
maybe. I don't know. I
It
see some of
looks
the.
like concept art.
Yeah, it looks like
That's what I was
concept
thinking
art
of.
more
That's
than
the word I
AI.
was trying to think of. Yeah.
Well, looks good.
I'm okay with it.
But
They
Looks
kept
better
the
than the
skirts.
original Superman costumes we were getting out of
it
James.
looks
Gunn.
like more fitting if that's the case.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Pack and Proton says a shaved Culture Casino looks like a cross between Tom and Chris. WDW Pro
What? I
Wax
missed the
Mobile
shave.
Challenge.
What? I
Did
didn't
he
see
go through a
this.
shave?
I don't know about that.
I don't
Did he
know.
lose his
Packing
name?
Protons is.
No, I think he posted a AI thing here.
Oh, I see.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna shave for Jesus.
Well, we've seen Culture Casino without any hair, and he
Yeah.
doesn't really look like this. But they say that, I don't know.
What?
Maybe.
Oh,
Good
Yeah,
gravy.
please
not what-
keep the beard.
That's
sir.
not what Culture looks like without the beard.
What I'm thinking is that's a really strange. What's that business in the back?
That
That's a
is a
skullet.
weird skull.
That's a
That's a
skullet.
super mullet.
A
That's a-
skullet.
Well, that's
skullet.
actual. That's an Australian term for that kind of hairdo, actually.
I love it. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Man, I'm learning
Nice.
stuff.
Say it again. What's the name for that hairdo?
Skullet.
Skullet.
Ha! By fun, that's actually the Norwegian name for bald. Skullet.
I like it.
Okay.
So it's like a mullet, but you're bald.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Dark Hierophant says, "Have you seen the Miyazaki Trump AI trailer?"
Oh,
no, I
no.
can't say I have.
Well, not from
I've seen-
Miyazaki. It's probably in the style, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
all those
Yeah.
pictures all going around. If that's what you,
Yeah,
mean.
Studio Ghibli AI stuff. Yeah.
I'm fed up with those already. So yeah.
Webster says, "I highly regard Mead's restaurant. Well, it'd be Midnight's Edge. I'm After Dark is my channel, but I know what you mean, Jason. Midnight's Edge's restoration of F.W. Murnau's Nosferatu as one of the best releases of 2024. What's your next restoration project, guys?" Well, we are deciding that yet. I know
I heard it's going to be The Parent Trap.
it is.
Very
It is starring me and Paul, and
As the twins.
yes, yeah,
We can't tell them apart.
we look exactly alike.
Like,
Anyhow, I'm leaning into, I don't know if we're gonna have to really restore anything on them. See, Nosferatu was an exception. Not all of the movies we probably bring out are gonna have something we're gonna dabble in, because we don't want to mess with too many things if we don't have to or don't want to or whatever.
That was a big project. Let's be
Yeah.
clear about that.
But we do have I think Dick Tracy might be one of the next things we look into. If not, I know we got Night of the Living Dead and some other things we're looking into, Little Shop of Horrors maybe. But our next big retrospective is going to be Constantine. That I know. If I ever get my butt in gear on it.
Cool.
But we won't be able to share that film, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll let you guys know soon. Those are possibilities, the ones I just mentioned. I know we were even thinking about one of the early versions of Wizard of Oz, but that got away from us.
I wonder if you guys could do like a members only viewing on Rumble or somewhere that's
There
not-
is kind of a way to do it through StreamYards, but it's complicated.
Yeah,
But I've
we
done
should
it
be
a
able
couple
to.
times.
And we're gonna watch when we sort that out. We can watch some cool Norwegian movies as well that people might be into.
Patrick Robbins says Arachnophobia remake has been canceled. I didn't even know we were getting one.
neither.
I don't know if you talked about this in a past stream. Yeah, this is news I first heard we were actually getting one, and it's gone. So good riddance.
Yeah,
We didn't
so-
need one.
Yeah, exactly. So all good.
You know who directed the
missed.
first one?
Wasn't that Spielberg?
Nope. It
Frank
was
Marshall.
me.
Oh,
That's right, baby. That's right, baby. Actually, it's probably one of his biggest hits.
Probably.
Because Congo bombed. So, yeah. Marksman 117B says, Paul, you mentioned Sword Art. Can I recommend Log Horizon? Same
I
premise.
need one of those at least once a morning. After
I was going to say,
Hello.
usually you do.
But
Oh.
Log Horizon. Okay, I'm writing it down.
Same premise, only everything is inside the game. No known mastermind, just the mystery and the issues of adapting life inside the game.
Sure, of course. I love that shit. I mean, if you like it, then I'm happy to take a look at it.
Okay. All right. Well, here's the
Thank you. I appreciate that. I love Sword Art Online. The first two seasons are fabulous.
Oh, geez.
Oh no.
死んだわ初めて俺に伝えている
絶望の匂いだ
面白いこと見せようかほらこんなに人が多すぎて
お父さん
あかん
ドナルド君まだ死ぬ時じゃないでしょ
アメリカ万歳ファイト
絶対負けないよ
ランドトゥライドまで
でもだってまだサンキュー言ってないでしょ一回も言ってください
中ですこの世界季節いけるかな昔グレートだった大きにまたグレートになるからあのさ有名人なら誰かのマンコを掴んでそう見張らせるで
I'd watch the hell out of that movie. Like, I'm not
I want the
that
TV
general,
show of that.
but I'd watch the hell out of that.
I would take like 1 minute daily news given in that Ghibli anime style from the Trump administration. Well, you know what's so encouraging is that this really is a sea change with the way that the U.S. Administration, the government, is dealing with tech censorship. That they're really embracing the AI because the comms coming out of this White House have used that Ghibli studio look for AI. I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
That is hilarious. I mean, I'm a huge Studio Ghibli fan.
It looked on brand to me. It looked good.
And the thing is, though, Trump looked fabulous as a Ghibli character.
Yeah.
Then we got the Seaman here who says Warfare opened this weekend, getting great word of mouth so far.
It looks great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go. Check that out.
Yep.
We have some news to get to, though. Let's get into that. Vanessa Kirby has opened her mouth about Fantastic Four and basically torpedoed it. Kind of
No. She has signaled her virtue, I think you mean to say, which of course is the same thing as torpedoed it.
She pulled a Rachel Zegler.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And here's a quote from her.
If you played an exact 60s suit a day, everyone would just think she's a bit of a doormat. Am I in the high voice or am I in the low voice?
That's great. No, it's not bad.
Which voice am I in? Okay. All right. So figuring out how to capture the answer of what she represented to each generation, where the gender politics were different, and embody with that today was one of the greatest joys of this. Like, she's not going to be a chick. She's going to be a dude chick. Okay, I added the last part.
Okay, so that's part of her. So what the fuck is she going on about?
That sounds like Sofia Coppola before they redid her voice on
Godfather 3.
Godfather 3. They had to re-loop all her stuff.
That was a shock to me to find that out. I think the whole cast, because later on in that same Entertainment Weekly article, Joseph Quinn, who plays the Human Torch, she says something like, the original Johnny Storm was branded as a womanizing devil may care guy, but that's not so sexy these days. So
of course
this
not.
version is less callous with other people's feelings. I started to say fifis.
This is
You should say fifis because I'm sure that's what you really meant to say.
Yeah, I do too.
And also, he came up with this in conjunction by talking to Kevin Feige, of all people, about how to craft the character.
Oh no.
Yeah, no. I remember when like some people were like thinking, okay, we the Democrat Party, we need like someone to get aboard all of the men that we have villainized. So luckily we have Tim Waltz, paragon of masculinity.
Yes.
And I'm like thinking, okay, fantastic. Here he found Kevin Feige, another paragon of masculinity, to ask, hey, what's a real man to do these days? How can we make sure that this is a butch badass, but he's still sensitive and not problematic or toxic? So yeah, really went good places for advice right there. I'm sure
Is it too
we
soon?
can all look up to this Johnny Storm.
Is it too soon to say that Chris Evans will always be the best Johnny Storm?
Yeah,
I think.
right now it certainly seems
Mhm.
like.
Never too soon to
I
say.
think Kevin Feige might be the only human male, and I assume he's straight, in Hollywood where the women.
Well, I hate to interrupt you, but the rumors are that the part of the reason that that bitch playing Captain Marvel is so difficult to get rid of, what's her face again, Brie Larson,
Brie
Larson.
is because he's very straight. Rumor, don't know, speculation.
Uh-oh.
But anyway, carry on.
My point is that he's the only male of power in Hollywood that no woman wants to do any couch surfing with.
Yeah, unless there's a Captain Marvel in the other end of it.
Maybe.
I think.
And I
another-
also heard Grimm is supposed to be gay.
No, I haven't.
I
heard
hope
that.
the fuck
That-
not.
that's a
I
rumor
hadn't heard
too.
that one.
Oh no. Well, you know, Pedro Pascal. I mean, Reed Richards.
That's just a pussy.
I mean, I was listening to the guys over on Film Threat who watched, like a preview scene or something at CinemaCon, saying that it just seems like Pedro's playing himself. He's just solemn and introspective and looks vulnerable. Nothing at all like, the brash Reed Richards genius from the comic books or even the earlier movies. And I'm just trying to figure out the Pedro Pascal casting. Why is he in everything? Number one. Number two, who thought he embodies Reed Richards?
Nobody did. In fact, he was like third or fourth choice.
Yeah,
if I
he
remember
was-
right from
yeah,
the
he was
story.
way down
like,
the list. Nobody else would do it.
Exactly. Like in this case, it wasn't that they wanted him; it was that no one else wanted it.
Well, they killed off John Krasinski.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could have said that was an alternate universe one. You
It
could
is,
have.
but
And
it
then
doesn't
and then
matter.
you
Yeah.
gender swap the Silver Surfer. I mean,
That
how
too.
many things are they going to do with this movie that you're like, that sort of has a stink on it?
Well,
The reasons.
Yeah, sorry, carry on, Tom.
I was gonna say, because going back to Pascal, I was trying to get that in there before we get
Yeah,
past that. The reasons I keep hearing that he gets casted and everything are pretty obvious. He's not white, and he's safe with
He's
women.
cheap. Is he cheap?
No,
He might be, but he's safe with women.
Oh,
Get my drift.
okay.
I doubt he's cheap.
Maybe he's not very straight. I think there was a shot of him cuddling.
That's what I've heard.
Hello.
Let's just say.
Okay, enough said.
You know what's funny? This is just also a part of how bad the writing is these days. Is that I totally agree with the basic sentiment of Johnny, and the Invisible Girl, Sue.
Storm. Yeah.
They were written in a very simplistic way. I read the comics,
Sure.
but why can't you have a modern womanizing guy?
Mhm.
And why can't you have a modern woman that doesn't have to go all she bitch on us? I mean, it's like they cannot find the real upgrades to those people who actually exist in our existing space.
Mhm.
They're completely incapable of writing anybody with any kind of range. And so they go, well, he can't be womanizing. Okay, that's it. We're done. No,
Well, let's time
No,
out for a second.
it can be done. Both of those things can be done. Modernizing him, yet making him, quite male.
Yes.
Well, here's a problem. First of all, they've been misusing and obscuring the line between what womanizing is and what a man is, right? Because
Yeah.
they'll sit there and say Bond is womanizer. Okay, maybe not. That's a good question. But in most movies and most shows and most stories and most cases, if a character is genuinely a womanizer, guess what? They're a villain.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the time the hero gets all the women because the women want to be with him. That doesn't necessarily mean they're a womanizer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right, it's just-
a healthy heterosexual male.
Yeah.
is not a villain.
Considered,
Yeah,
yeah,
but that toxic masculinity, all that stuff has made being a healthy heterosexual male inherently suspicious and creepy.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest here. What is toxic masculinity? It's a blanket term made to basically destroy all men, because you take normal masculine behavior and
Yep.
you mix that in with a few who are genuine creeps and even criminals, and you mix all of that together to make men emasculated and afraid of
Yep.
doing anything, to the
Yes.
point where the only thing that is being celebrated as a modern man is a beta male simp and a male feminist, that Hollywood says this is what you should be, but that no woman actually wants, because the biology recoils against such a genuine creep.
Well,
Yeah,
That is
even
what's
worse than
being
that.
celebrated.
I mean, it's
even worse
clear.
than that. Sorry, go ahead.
You go into the bars now, and it's just horrible to see all these women avoiding manly men. Like, it's just shocking.
The worst part is that
Especially when they're drunk.
you have politics and the media upraising the idea of either an emasculated or beta male, when in real life, men are looking for and boys are looking for a role model who isn't going to ask them to apologize for being who they are and what they are, and who ends up getting the largesse of that desire to not be made to feel like you're an outsider and an outcast. People like Andrew Tate, who says, you don't have to apologize. Now just pay $500 for my course and you'll be a real man.
Right.
Whereas you could have a healthy male role model who isn't asking you to become a jerk and a creep, but actually promoting healthy masculine aspects without vilifying them or saying that you're basically broken girls that need to be off in the corner somewhere apologizing for your existence.
Right. But this is also why we have no more men teaching grade school.
Yep.
Yep. And the problem with the bars you go into, Paul, is as soon as you walk in the door, this is what you hear.
Well, I should have suspected the backless chaps. That
Exactly. You go into the wrong places. You're going to
That's
meet the
the
wrong
first
kind of
clue.
guys.
Yeah.
in Toronto, that used to be called the Barn.
Is that where they shot the Blue Oyster Bar at? No,
No. The Barn. That was a
because all those guys in those movies are always technically are like real biker gay men.
You don't go to those. They're
bears.
tough. Those
Yeah,
biker
there's a
gay
tough
men are
ones, yeah.
a tough bunch.
I agree with what Paul's saying as far as having
Yes, absolutely.
masculine role models, though.
Well, that was my point. Is like, yes, they're like what Andre was saying. Is they're taking everything, whether it was the good, the bad, the ugly, and they're mixing it all up together to where it all gets spat out on the other end. And it's like, no, wait a minute here. Time the fuck out.
Yeah.
This
Like-
is how you have made chivalry toxic, and why
Exactly.
men are no longer opening doors for women, because they've been trained to like, oh, if you do that, that's toxic, and you're a creep.
We do a series over on bleedingfool.com on Tuesdays. Not every Tuesday, but we do it on Tuesdays, called Toxic Masculinity Tuesday. And we always feature a classic movie or TV show that shows men exemplifying traditional masculine traits and, like stoicism, assertiveness, strength, and sort of contrast them with the modern era version of masculinity. So it's a lot of fun. It gets you a nice little high tea boost, and it's basically a movie review, but focuses on the toxic masculinity of the hero. It's fun, and so we're doing our part to sort of combat that narrative that's going on.
Well, so I think moving ahead here, I think a lot of the inclinations a lot of us had, some of the rumors, some of the fears, whatever you want to put there, of what this was going to turn out to be, are certainly looking like it's going to be true. Because this is coming directly from Entertainment Weekly. This isn't just rumors anymore, right? Like this is Joseph
This is an
Quinn.
interview. Yeah, this
is an actual interview, and they're flat out saying it. And when we hear these things, like we were saying at the top of the story, for a modern audience, for this version is not going to be insert here.
Yeah.
Then we automatically know that things are just going to get
weird.
Yep.
So yeah,
that's right. And and we've got people. We did a story on this just a couple of hours ago over on the website, and you've got some people saying this is just going to boil down to 1 or 2 lines in the movie. This is just going to be 1 or 2 lines. The rest of the movie is going to be fine. And I'm asking myself, what was the last good MCU movie that came
If you don't
out?
count Deadpool and Wolverine, Spider-Man.
I don't really. I count that as a Fox adoptee. They
Yeah.
adopted.
Infinity War. Infinity War.
Yeah, even then, yeah, I guess you'd have to go all the way back to either Spider-Man or Infinity War, basically. Yeah.
It's like Sony. If Sony's involved, it'll be okay. If Fox was involved, it'll be okay. When it's just Disney and Feige, I don't know.
And I think those Oh, sorry, Chris. I was just going to say, I think those Spider-Man movies, like the third one, we know pretty much it was almost like on accident that that's the movie we got, right? Because it was pure reaction to the Flash news, and I've posited many a time that if they had more time to think about it, the movie probably would have been more woke. They just didn't have the time to piss around because that movie was one of the fastest turnarounds on a Marvel project ever. Because they went, I think it was like, what was it? Almost like a year, just around a year exactly from we're doing it this way to boom and it's out. And they had never moved a movie out that fast before.
I thought it turned out great. It was, and it even sort of was a layup for the Multiverse of Madness, which sucked.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
They spent more time planning that one, ironically.
Isn't that strange?
Strange.
It's Doctor Strange, indeed.
And who wanted America Chavez? They wanted that to be a thing.
Kevin Feige.
God.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Kevin
I didn't even
Feige and
know
Vittorio Alonso.
You know what? We everyone talks about Robert Downey Jr. being a great Iron Man. A Cumberbatch.
Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
Gumby Batch.
That's his new name now, Gumby Batch.
Cumberbatch was embodied Doctor Strange in a way that was unearthly, and you went to the movie because I think genuinely we loved that character.
Yeah.
And amazingly, he was crappy in the comic books.
Yeah.
In the comic books, he was just
He's a jerk. Yeah.
But also he was using magic just to fool people. He was not really as occultish as he is. They did a really good job of rounding out his character and adding more traits to him.
Yeah.
You mean that extra eye? Because that was not cool at all. That was ridiculous. Yeah, and towards the end of Multiverse of Madness, that's when they added the final thing to him. They gave him a third eye in the middle of his forehead.
But why couldn't they just make it a Doctor Strange movie? Like just leave it alone.
The first one?
I was the second one.
The multi.
No, I know. I was being facetious and saying, like the first one. Yeah,
the first one. Yeah, like they just can't leave well enough alone. They have no idea how to make money. Although that did very well, but I think it was a complete bait and switch movie, and that was the beginning of the end of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
That really was the beginning of the end, I think, because
it is, because that's the moment where it becomes homework, right? Because you can't just go into the movie and have seen Doctor Strange and maybe Spider-Man No Way Home in the Endgame where we last saw Doctor Strange, right? No. You had to have seen all this other bullshit in WandaVision and all this other shit.
WandaVision in particular, you had to have seen.
Well, and Doctor Strange was a co-star. He wasn't the star.
He wasn't even the star of his own movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I loved him in it. He was so good in that movie.
A lot of people like Cumberbatch. He's a good actor, and there was a lot of goodwill from the original movie. And you had the Spider-Man No Way Home setup. It should have been a home run. It should have been a home run, and it wasn't because they
make it a Doctor Strange movie. That's it.
It should have been Spider-Man Home Run is what it should have been.
Yeah, and who was the not Sam Raimi, was it? Who directed Multiverse? Was it Raimi?
No, it was Sam Raimi. Yeah, he came in and took over for what's his face, the guy who blocks me on Twitter.
That's right.
Yeah,
Derrickson was the original one.
Gosh, on paper that should have been a massive hit.
Boy, Scott Derrickson was so pissed when I brought that up. Anyway,
yeah, this looks bad. The Fantastic
Four. Very bad.
And I like the Fantastic Four a lot, and they are the first family of the Marvel Cinematic or the Marvel Universe in general.
Yeah, technically.
Yeah, so it's just a shame. But I think if we lower our expectations, like this might be better than the Eternals, but not as good as Shang-Chi or something. If you go in with that
Oy.
expectation, you might enjoy it. I don't.
Damning with faint praise.
Yeah, well, and I've never even watched all of Shang-Chi, so.
No.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't. I watched like 5 minutes of Shang-Chi and I shut it off as soon as it turned into a big CGI kung fu fest.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is like an insult to
I
kung
got
fu.
a little further. I made it much further in Black Widow, but never finished that one either.
Actually, I didn't hate Black Widow. The problem with Black Widow is the last 45 minutes of the movie. You want to know why that is? Because you have this huge like sky carrier thing that's literally falling from the sky for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And nobody dies.
Yeah.
Like, free fall. Just complete free fall. Like that's not how physics works. Just saying.
Well, the physics in that movie were bad all around. I think somebody fell off the ladder.
No, but what I liked about it was Florence Pugh's and her chemistry.
That was good. It was solid.
And David Harbour, of course, is good in just about everything he does. So
yeah.
But no, like I mean, the look of this, they tricked us with the look. They got us sucked in. They suckered us a bit with, we're going to give you the classic style, even though it's weird because I hate this picture because you literally have 3 different costumes of the Fantastic Four here.
You do. You're right.
Which drives me nuts as a nerd.
And that's actually from the John Byrne era of the comics. That's not even the original.
Well, the original one is what Sue is wearing, basically. She has the OG costume.
Shoulder stuff, though, is not.
Oh, yeah. They always had the white collar.
I don't think so.
But the arm thing, that's a newer thing. And then you have the other one with the more solid blue with.
The original was almost black, dark blue gloves and boots and dark black belt and sort of a neck was black too. And they had of course the white logo that you're seeing. John Byrne did take it back to this look. I mean, the costumes, whatever, I think there's worse things they could have done. But I agree with you. I think the aesthetics so far have looked beautiful.
You're right. I was wrong. I was getting them flip-flopped. Yeah, they were all dark originally. Then they went to the white, and that was probably what, 70s with the white and blue?
Maybe early 80s, late 70s. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because then they have different variations. But the one with the white going down the arm, that's a more modern look. That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's something I think that Kirby says in this interview also about there was this period where, the comics trope of the hero becoming a villain. So Sue Storm becomes Malice, a character named Malice. And so Kirby actually says that era really fascinated me, so she wants to sort of embody this sort of villainous tone with this feminist tone. It's really bizarre. Now, that could just be the actress. Maybe that's how she was sold on the role.
Definitely. I mean, these are all talking points.
That's true. The editor and the director could save this movie. We'll see.
I mean, if Vanessa Kirby wants to get into Malice's dominatrix outfit, I won't complain.
Exactly.
On aesthetic level, at least.
It's a lot less covering on that costume for sure. But we'll see. I'll wait for y'all's review.
Yeah. So, I don't know how well this is going to fare with the fans, especially following the Snow White business.
I think I can tell you, like, the audience right now is hypersensitive to anything that is done for the modern audience. And this was my worry for this particular movie. I've been saying this the whole time, that this movie was made too soon. This movie was made at the time when Disney knew that they had to roll certain things back, but they hadn't really felt it yet. There was still going to be some influence, some producers there. So like, no. We have to signal our virtue. We have to let everyone know we are still on the right side of history. So we still need to do this, and this. Still need to gender brand this. We have to have positive male role models, all this bullshit. And that's what we're seeing in the movie, and it's going to suffer for it greatly. All of these things, these quote unquote progressive things in it, are going to kill it. How many millions do you think a female Silver Surfer is going to shave off the bottom line?
Right.
That's a lot. just the presence of a female Silver Surfer is going to shape it. You're going to wait till you see the trailer and you see it's really the Sue Storm show, and word gets out what kind of a simp Reed Richards is in this one.
Yeah.
It's going to kill the movie dead.
Why would you alienate? Why would you create characters that are emblematic and alienate a core faction?
Chris, we've been saying this for how long now?
Yeah.
Well, I understand where Chris is asking, because this is post Feige going, we fucked up.
Yeah.
We fucked up. We gotta rewrite the ship. And honestly, it makes complete sense if you're going to rewrite the ship and kind of refocus the franchise and use the Fantastic Four to kind of, reestablish that. And you got Spider-Man in a place now where nobody in his universe knows who the fuck he is, right? So you have you have that character out there to where you can do new things with him. And the rumor going around is that, we might be getting an actual Mary Jane in the next movie, which Andre and I have pointed out time and time again. The only thing that was holding it back was that stupid old contract, and that contract might be out the window now, especially if Tom Rothman said, you know what, we're not going to do this Spider-Verse, Venom-verse shit anymore.
Yeah. I think the thing that nobody seems to mention, maybe I missed where you guys even discussed it, but you've got Robert Downey Jr. coming out as Dr. Doom. The number one villain in the Fantastic Four is Dr. Doom. Make no
mistake. They're going to screw that up.
Well, they've got to have him in this movie. They're not mentioning it, but I think
he's in it.
Yeah, he's got to be. And maybe it's a post-credit scene, but this is how they're going to pull the Fantastic Four into this Secret Wars thing with the MCU. And they'll just, at the end of the day, they're going to have the cheapest actors stick around who they can sign for the most sequels. And that's going to be your MCU.
It's too bad, because that series of comics where Tony Stark had a brain exchange with Dr. Doom is really the dumbest.
Well, I'm not sure if that's what they're going to do either, because from what I've been hearing now, Paul, is that it's actually Dr. Doom who alters his looks to trick the Avengers into that's.
Well, that's sort of what they do in the comics. They
kind of, but I don't know if they're going to actually swap brains. But yeah,
they switch brains, or they switch consciousness in the comics.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing, he just alters it, like has surgery and to look like.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, so he can.
That sounds more plausible.
That sounds more plausible. And here's my other thing. I think Yellow Flash is probably going to be right. I don't think we should get too attached to Robert Downey Jr. being back, because he's only signed on for what, like this and the Avengers films, I think, as far as I know. I wonder if this is a big bait and switch. And I think Yellow Flash is right that at the end of this, on the other side of this, Dr. Doom will be dead, but guess who the new bad guy is going to be? Reed Richards.
Oh, boy.
Because that's kind of what they're setting up here from what he was saying, too. And I think I'm kind of starting to agree with him.
And there is precedent for that in the comic.
Sure, but after a long build-up, after you've established a character and you make his downfall meaningful, you don't flip a light switch between two movies and suddenly this character that...
They will at Marvel.
Oh, I know what they might do or what they're willing to do, but good gravy.
Yeah, but I mean, again, what's this fascination with short men as heroes? Like, yeah, you got to fit in the Iron Man outfit. I get that, but Reed Richards is supposed to be tall and manly, not built, but manly.
Yeah,
and Dr. Doom is his equivalent. They've got to have presence. They can't be standing on apple boxes. Robert Downey Jr. does not have that presence.
No, Mads Mikkelsen should be Dr. Doom. I don't care what anybody else says. It never take the mask off. Even if you just record his voice, Mads Mikkelsen should be Dr. Doom.
Dolph Lundgren.
I don't even think anybody
Dolph
would remember.
Lundgren would be great. Ooh, Dolph Lundgren would be great Dr. Doom. Yeah,
but I don't even think anybody would remember that Mads Mikkelsen was already in Doctor Strange or whatever it was.
Oh, exactly. That's why you don't take the mask off. You just pull a.
It doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
they've already recast people already.
Dolph is suitably wrinkly and still good looking. Like he's got. He could pull it off.
To Andre's point,
he needs an accent.
When he says something about there's precedence in the comics. Reed Richards has appeared in 5,000 comics, and comics, they do everything in the comics. So, I mean, yes, there's even a female version of the Silver Surfer in one single
Yeah.
appearance.
But in this case, it's the entire Ultimate line where I didn't never got that far, but apparently there he becomes the villain.
Yeah, but
The
what that
Ultimate
is
Fantastic
that's sort
Four.
of the argument of the Disney shills. Meaning,
Of course, you
hey,
don't
it
you
appeared in
don't
the
want to do
comics.
movies. Absolutely, you don't
Well-
want to do it in the movies. But I'm also saying that given that they already used that on the female Silver Surfette, which you obviously shouldn't do, but they're willing to do it there, meaning I wouldn't put it past Marvel to do
Yes.
that. That's my only point.
And now, no one's mentioned Alicia, have they?
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
No,
Ben's
the thing is
girlfriend.
gay, apparently. Yeah.
Which,
Blind.
for me, what?
Well, the rumor is the thing is gay in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah, Alicia should
They
be in there
wouldn't need
because that's part of
Alicia.
his. Yeah, that's part of his
So it'd be
strain between
Al?
what he is versus his human side versus his monster side, is being able to connect with somebody.
Right.
And she's
And
part of that story.
to me, maybe the most fun of the Fantastic Four was the Hunchback of Notre Dame Alicia connection. I mean,
Mhm.
that's what Grimm was. Grimm was the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Right? He
Yeah.
was, didn't want to be with the woman that clearly loves him, and she's blind. And to me, that was always the most humanizing aspect of the Fantastic Four.
Well, the beauty of it is is that we find out that his girlfriend is actually Blind Al from Deadpool.
I think
That
it's
was her back in
Natasha
the day.
Leone, isn't she?
I'm just
playing-
making shit up, but that would
I
be
think
funny.
She plays Alicia Masters in the movie.
Does she?
Possibly.
I think
Wow,
so.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll never bring in the puppet master though, will they?
They need to bring Gina Carano's character from the first Deadpool in as his girlfriend.
Nobody thought it would be a good idea that Blind Al turns out that she dated Ben Grimm years ago. She's
No.
Alicia is her full name. Come on.
No.
Gina
I think
Carano
the
should-
Disney
should know.
executives need to go blind before Gina Carano gets in there.
Yes.
Yeah, all that too.
Mm.
Well, this is now sounding very disappointing, and
Yeah.
and it's also disappointing if that is the politics of Kirby. Also, if another actress who is also voicing their own personal progressive fuckery,
Mm.
Well, that's why she was
goddamn
hired. isn't
tired
it?
of it.
Yeah, that was on. I think that was on the call sheet, Paul.
Progressive fuckery.
Yeah, you must possess that to even be considered at this audition.
Yeah,
So make-
unfortunately, he's not joking. I mean, why do you think that Rachel Zegler was hired?
Oh,
I mean, there's a couple of reasons,
Yeah.
but the fact that she was an activist and they were making an activist movie at the time,
Yeah.
only helped her.
I'm just
Only
wondering
hopefully
when we
it'll-
sort of get past that, like the things that are being greenlit now and they're doing auditions for. Surely they've de-Zeglerized the.
I think that probably what really made the difference was Rachel Zegler and Snow White. Because why would they carry on this fuckery after that?
Well, it's too late, right? They've
It
already-
is too late.
Yeah, for this it is for sure.
But honestly, I think that probably that's where the difference was, where they saw that, yeah, we can't do this anymore.
Mm.
It
And
feels like the
unfortunately, that
Fantastic
means-
Four might be the last movie in the line of embedded progressive stuff, or they're weaning it out. For
maybe.
some reason.
Well, and that's what I mean. The director and the editor could take out any little elements that sort of hint at that. You know, maybe.
Well, then again, you have this as a story in Entertainment Weekly this week.
Yeah, that's true. And that had
So,
to
I
be.
mean, it's not like it's 2 years ago or a year ago. And honestly, I'm kind of starting to think the only reason we haven't been honestly, nobody's really been paying much attention to Fantastic Four. And that's probably why we haven't been picking up on more of the signs, because everybody's attention has been on Superman instead.
Good point.
And I have a feeling that we're going to get into July, and this is going to be the one that's really going to disappoint everybody at the end of the day. I don't know. We'll see.
What, just the gender swap of the Silver Surfer, which was announced months and months ago. I immediately said, "Nope, here we go again." There's no reason to do that whatsoever, other than to support an agenda. That's it. There's no reason to do that.
Well, because Superman at least has a lot of low expectations going into, because so many people are prejudging it on things, and rightfully so in some of the things we've seen. Because
Yeah.
I've even said that Gunn is fucking up this marketing or whoever's in charge of it is fucking up the marketing on this movie big time.
Well, more people, more normies know Superman, right? I could have worn my Fantastic Four t-shirt today, and maybe the guy at the post office recognizes it, but my wife wouldn't. She's going to recognize a Superman emblem. And that's why Superman's sort of sucking the air out of the room on superhero movie talk,
Right.
because it's so well known. It's a global
That's true.
phenomenon. Yeah.
Well, let's see what you guys are talking about out there before we move into some more superhero news. Alan Octavian Moldovan says, hello, panel and gossip news. All week was that Tomb Raider is on hold, possibly canceled at Amazon. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. We've heard that a few times ourselves, even though Fleabag went and got herself a first look deal. Sometimes that's a sign that something didn't work out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
think it's
Tomb Raider.
related. Yeah. I think that's related.
And Paulie is with us. How are you doing?
Can you hear me?
I hear the
I
birds.
hear the birds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tweet.
Man, I got my door out, the screen door open, all that stuff. Beautiful morning. But Pedro Pascal fatigue has now set in to the Latino slant.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
It took that long?
Well, I think you're failing to realize the significance of that. But Paulie,
Thank you,
continue.
Andre. Thank you. Thank you,
I
Andre.
just saw another trailer where he was starring in a movie, a big one.
I think that may be related.
That's The Last of Us season 2.
No.
It's called Eddington, where he plays a New Mexican small town mayor. I'm like, guys, there's other freaking Latino actors.
No, there aren't.
Okay, all right. I'm out. You're right.
Anyway, Paulie, carry on. Paulie, you're trying to say something.
Please, Paul.
Come back.
Whoa, did he leave? Oh, wait. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Anyway, Paulie, carry on. Do share.
No. You know what? Let me turn my dryer off.
He's sort of like got the same agent as Zendaya, right? I think that they're just trying to put him in everything.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. So, yeah, I think I think this speaks to Hollywood carrying on their agendas. Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
You sound great.
So, whereas tides might be turning here and there, and there's some successes of movies that are seemingly, not progressive, or definitely don't have the message in the forefront, and the storytelling entertainment is great. You wouldn't get that from the actors and their social media pages, the interviews that Thomas said, the fact that it's on Entertainment Tonight, and the fact that these guys keep on keeping on with the same bullshit. So, white liberal Hollywood falls in love. They'll fall in love with a particular Latino or Black or, I don't know what type of, actor, because they personify everything that they see, that kind of like old white lady perception of what a Black man is, what a Latino is. And then, of course, you got to like adhere to all the no human is illegal, Black Lives Matter here, science, the whole checklist. Those actors embody that right now. You got to do something incredibly horrific to not keep getting work, Ziegler. And even then, she's going to do a major production of Evita in the West End, right? That's what I'm saying, is that in a few years, they're going to give her another shot. If this shit keeps, maybe smaller films and work her way up, but she can't make studios a buck. Neither really can Pedro. And I really like Pedro's acting, but there are other Latino actors, and so it's just really strange. But then again,
John Leguizamo would be fantastic.
Johnny Legs has one of the best films out this year called Bob Trevino Likes It, that even Chris Gore is calling it the best film of the year. It's just a small indie film drama. Johnny Legs, that's where he shines, and he's a great character actor. Johnny Legs has
Super progressive.
He matches a lot of those, and he's pro-Israel, which is good in some circles and bad in other circles. I'm just reporting facts, Paul. I know this is really hits close to your heart. So again, nothing's really fucking changed, man. And now you have the director. I've never heard of this guy. I've never seen his work. I haven't seen Adolescence. I know Scribe has.
Yes.
They're touting this guy to direct The Alchemist. What the fuck, man? You know, see, that's what I'm talking about. Is that, you know, we don't want check marks, but it's like also too, it's we don't want the same bullshit to happen. Can you imagine? They're gonna cast you know, Malzadik in the Shepherd Boy, and they're gonna be, you know, either they're gonna be just woke Brits or someone just insufferable. You know, heaven forbid you cast Arabs in those roles or whatever. Do you hear what I'm saying? Do you guys know where I'm coming from? I'm not trying to be a fucking purist here, but I'm also at the same time tired of the same Hollywood. It's all the same. It's all the fucking same. When it's not is when it's more independent from the big studios. So
it's mediocre. It's just an embrace of mediocrity that seems to have happened, and you get the same recycled cast, the same recycled because I think they have to subscribe to whatever the producers want, don't you think?
Well, you know, and when Tommy was talking about this, and I said to Tom in the chat and to you guys in the chat, Joseph Quinn is an excellent actor. I just saw him in Warfare.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you saw Warfare?
Oh yeah, it's my favorite, best film of the year so far.
Wow. I
mean, it is. And I've been dying to see this because, again, this is kind of like that. This is a good example because it's a first-time director co-directing with Alex Garland, but this director-writer has worked with Alex Garland on several films. He's also done he also did the fight choreography for Reacher, Terminal List. This guy's touted. Not to mention he's an American Navy SEAL hero. Yeah. That's what this story is about.
This is like horror meets war, right? I mean, this is like a horror movie, isn't it?
Sorry, big ghetto birds are right over the house. No, it is a one skirmish that happens with this group of Navy SEAL men and how they get out of it. Yeah. And what makes Warfare so different, guys, is you feel everything they're feeling when they get attacked. It almost, without spoiling it, and I highly recommend it to everyone. Maybe vets with PTSD might not want to see this because this is from a veteran's perspective. It's a collection of the memories that happened that one particular time in 2005. Okay. So no, it's war.
Well, horrors of war, I guess I should say, sort of.
Yes, absolutely. But it's not like it's not on the grand platoon epic level where everything happens to this one group of men. No, it's one skirmish.
Okay.
So my point with Joseph Quinn is that it's like, yo, why don't you just shut up and just act? I know it sucks, right? But you know, the mystery is that you can play your Johnny Storm and we'll let us judge, but then you're also playing this Navy SEAL, and obviously you're a very capable young actor.
Yeah.
You know, I just it just kind of floors me because what you guys have been saying, this is going from bad to worse now with Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have to assume that he's just being the company man for Disney and sending the message they want to send. I mean, like I said, this story wouldn't have come out without Disney's approval. It was a planned interview. Why would they want
this message after all this?
Yeah, because they're
in love with their own farts, man. Come on, it's like long Disney, Scribe. It's fucking Hollywood.
Oh, I know. I get
what Paulie's saying, and this is what I was kind of getting at for a while. Is you're going to have a lot of actors and creatives go rogue.
Well, not go rogue, but this is look. This is and this kind of bleeds into self-plugging here for my DEI series I've been doing recently. Is that these notions, these ideologies are long to die off because the true believers are still in charge, It's not like the leadership at Disney has drastically changed in the last 6 months or something. So unless or until you get the ideologues out of the lever control of what gets approved and how things are marketed and what points they're trying to hit with their movies or what kind of change makers they're trying to be, this is still going to be there. It's going to be like long COVID. It's just going to last and last until eventually it'll peter off when it becomes completely unreasonable anymore. But we're still in that uncertain phase where you have a whole bunch of people saying, if we just hold out 4 years, we can come back like a vengeance once we get a new Democrat in the White House and everything changes again. Everybody's looking at what's happening right now as just, let's lay low, let's wait until the heat passes, and then we can come back up. That's the sentiment going in corporate America right now when it comes to diversity initiatives and elsewise. And I have to imagine that's what's going on in Hollywood as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the true believers are going to feel that way. Eventually, you just have to keep looking at the bottom line, and the audience responds to this. The audience is responding.
It goes to a point, but it only goes so far up the ladder, right? We're starting to see even some of the people that you would never imagine rubbing shoulders with Trump now and understanding that they got too political.
Yeah.
And we all know Disney's going to be the last place to change. That we know.
Yeah.
Can I just say one more thing? I know we want to move on really quickly, Tom. I was thinking about this before I saw the new movie with Pedro Pascal called Eddington. Ari Aster. God, who's the co-lead? I can't remember. It's like an Ethan Hawke guy. I did a discussion on how this year you're seeing a lot of huge studio films with Latina leads. And these Latinas are not just playing like Latina Spitfires. They're like doing, whether you like the role or not, whether you think it's DEI or not. That's not the point. Is that I just have never seen anything like this. Some movies are great. Working Man, where we talked about the ethnic swap in Working Man, to some are a failure. Snow White. So put it out, discussion, Chado, all that good stuff. And you know what people were saying to me? Where are the men at? And I was like, oh shit. Oscar
I was
Isaac,
just going to say that.
Pedro Pascal. Oh my God, that's it.
I was just going to say that.
This is terrible because, and then we're the masculine Latino men, and I'm not talking about the foreign product, but like American made leading man. Like, you got to go like back to Benicio del Toro. That's a leading man, character man. I'm like, well, fuck, dude, that guy's been in it for decades. We don't have him. And okay, well, some people don't care. I get that. That's not my argument, but I'm like, so Hollywood. My argument is that Hollywood is dictating the image and the portrayal of the Latino man. Is a Emilia Perez level, and guys, that's not good.
I got a conspiracy theory for you real quick on that. If you saw, and I think many people have, which way the Hispanic vote skewed in the last election and the popular vote and elsewise, they may be just saying, hey, this is where the wind is blowing. So if we put more Hispanics and stuff now, then it'd be Hollywood and everything that will get them back on our side because they went for Trump this last time. We can't have that.
Bring back Antonio Banderas. That's all I can say.
There you go.
No, I don't even want Banderas. I want I love him, man. I don't want to get into this argument, but what Scribe was saying is the Democratic Party were fucking shocked that Latino men left the party. But you know what? It's not something that's happened overnight. This has happened. This has been going on for decades.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand the fundamentals is that the more you're family centered with these Latino families, and it can go to any ethnicities, ethnic cultures, the more conservative you tend to be.
Yeah.
Right. And so
I would say, as far as I know, most of the time they're generally conservative. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so their theory, and this is hopefully I don't get us in trouble, Andrew, is in regards to
we're about to find out.
them letting people in. So for generations, you'll get the majority vote for the Dems. The harsh reality is most of those people, once they wake up, they could be voting for you. And it's clear right there. The ones that can legally vote voted for the other side. And you know what? That's continuing. county after county is continuing to. I know this is a different discussion, but it's all connected. So woke Latinxers, well, Latinxers are woke. Is they just their minds are blown, their hearts are broken. How could you do this? You're a traitor to your own people, to la raza. And it's like, well, you know what? You did it to yourself because you didn't listen to your cousin, you didn't listen to your brother, you didn't listen to your tia. It's like, yeah, they voted the other way. You got to deal with it. So there's all that shit.
Yeah. But all right, let's move along here because we got some other news to get into, and we got some panelists who are going to be leaving before too long. We got Raven R, who's been a member for 11 months. So I need Chato doing his usual former executive dissection on anime and use his knowledge whether that anime could be greenlit or not.
Why?
On the Trump one, I think he's talking about.
That I couldn't do the anime one because it's culturally unique. I'm very much connected to North American sitcoms, classic North American sitcoms. I think I can.
Could it have been done for a North American audience?
I don't think it should. I think they need to stay in their lane. That's really the key to the popularity of any kind of cultural cinema. You find that when any other country, and being from Canada, we spent so much time trying to be like trying to do American style films. Nobody wanted to see them, and then once you start doing your own stuff, then you get a market for that. That's the same way with Norway, same way with any place else. Probably the most popular films are the ones that are true to their origin. You take a look at Crocodile Dundee. You take a look at the African movie about the Coke bottle.
The Gods Must Be Crazy.
The Gods Must Be Crazy.
I mean, these are the cultural touchstones, not the ones where outside cultures try to imitate America just to make money. So, to me, you've got to be true to your culture, and then you have a better chance of actually making something that's accidentally popular globally. So I couldn't.
What about this? Would you greenlight this? Pedro Pascal, the movie.
It should be Pedro.
Pedro.
You could do like a remake of Being John Malkovich, being Pedro Pascal.
Being Pedro Pascal.
I did like his Nicolas Cage movie.
That was pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
And let me just say also, guys, and you guys in the panel know this, but also to the chat, we are friends with Pedro. Like, Romy has worked with Pedro several times in theater. So we're not, what I'm saying? Like, it's very hard for me to say, like, Pedro Pascal fatigue. He's, from the working experiences and time spent, he's a fan. I'm not talking about him personally. I'm talking about what Hollywood is doing. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, and no one should be ripping him one for getting work.
No.
That's a stupid thing. It's not.
He's not the one hiring himself. You're absolutely
That's
right.
right.
Yeah, he's going.
And I don't blame him for what Hollywood does.
He's getting the job. I mean, no one should be mad at Pedro.
But audiences are mad at him just because of some of the stupid shit he's put up in the,
That's a different discussion. That's totally different. I'm not going to get mad at him for being.
But it's part of like, I hate the guy because he hates me, so I'm not going to go see another one of his films. Right?
He's one of the few that so far I can still separate because he is a decent actor. Yes, he said some stupid shit, but I also can tell he's an actor, right? Like he's one of these flighty LA folks. Right, like I can deal with that to a point. It's when they get like where they just get like extremely like frothing or throb. What's the word?
Frothing at the mouth.
Around the mouth.
Yes, thank you. Like Robert De Niro, right? Like he's gotten to the point where he's made it almost impossible to fucking deal with his shit just because how he talks now about everything and everybody.
Won't see anything new.
Oh, Ruffalo.
Oh gosh, don't get me started on Ruffalo.
I couldn't watch him before that. So
I feel like how when you visit a website or you search something and then the next thing you know you see Amazon ads for that very thing. I feel like the algorithm is trying to push Pedro Pascal on me. Like I like that one movie with Nick Cage and now you're in everything. I'm sick of it.
You may like this too.
I'm sick of it.
Right. And that's a good point because from what I'm hearing from people who don't like him, as far as, everything we talked about, is that he's actually really good in Freaky Tales.
Okay.
It was the best story of the 4 stories. I actually think he's one of the funniest guys. Period. I love
Okay.
I love his Saturday Night Live stuff.
Yes, on SNL, great. It's almost like, you know, when you buy a new car or whatever, then the next thing you know, you start looking around, and you see that same model
Everyone's got
car.
I had that happen to
It feels
me, yeah.
weird. I don't know. It's a Mandela vibe. I don't know what's
figured
going on.
I didn't know. I thought maybe he was Mexican and he was just trying to work 10 times harder than everybody else. That's what I figured. So
Rim shot.
yeah.
Watch it.
Come on, that was funny.
Well, I resemble that comment. I mean,
I know you do.
I'm working like 4 different. I'm like what
Exactly.
they call the 4 quadrants of film.
Yeah,
I'm
there
the
it
4
is.
quadrants of work.
Yeah,
I'm the
well,
hardest worker on this panel.
No,
Yeah.
no. Man.
But let's keep moving here. We got Luke Korlowitz Art, who says, I want to see a Ghibli AI video of Trump promising small tax cuts for Kiki's delivery service.
Yeah, there
They're
you go.
cutting taxes so this girl can fly. No more DEI. DEI is not going to fly. Anyway, Grimzilla says, so when's Feige's head on the chopping block? You know, he might be
Hey.
one of the few untouchable folks in Hollywood, but
Yeah.
I'm sure once Bob's gone, that clock is going to be ticking.
He becomes the male Amy Pascal. You just kind of can't get rid of him. He's going to be around a while.
Well-
Maybe they'll give him a first look deal after the Fantastic Four.
Maybe he'll get the
Yeah.
producer deal like the
Yeah.
others.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, once you start hearing he's getting first look deals and stuff, yeah.
I just don't
Yeah.
think Secret Wars is going to make any money.
That would shock me.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out here. Kalekioki on the Rumble side says, who do y'all say is truly at fault for DC's fumbles in 2010s?
Hmm.
The regime of Warner Brothers at the time, Zack Snyder, not blaming DC because they did not have a true creator to steer the ship. And then he says, if we could have had someone like Nolan or somebody decent, we could have had something decent, leaning more towards Snyder if he would have made decent Supes film. Warner Brothers would have left him alone. Okay, well, this is okay.
It's a lot to unpack.
A lot to
Yeah.
unpack here. First of all, Nolan didn't want anything to do with any of this shit. In fact, people give him way more credit than what he should for Man of Steel even. The only reason he was really there was to run interference with the producer, what's his face? The guy who wanted the giant spider, John Peters.
John Peters, yeah.
Yeah, because John Peters still owned part of the Superman rights or the film rights to where they had to run interference with him, and I think they finally bought his ass out. But look, it's a combination of all those things. Do you realize if you go back through the history, and Andre knows what I'm talking about, because there's a lot of revisionist history, but we were there. We were reporting on this shit as it was going on. I mean, I came into the game with him later on, but I mean, I was there on listening to all this and being part of this and whatnot and hearing my own shit from my own people. And basically, it was a combination of just fuckery from the start. You went from Snyder running the DC universe to help me out here, John Berg and
John,
what's his face?
Yeah, those guys. Basically,
and
the
then
guys
Ben
that
Affleck
fucked
for a
up
hot
Justice League.
second.
Yeah, but
And
he
then
was drunk, so he couldn't.
Yeah.
And
People forget that too. Yeah.
Basically, you went through so many regimes, and really, honestly, Snyder did nothing wrong because he only did what he was instructed to do by his superiors at Warner that approved everything he did, and not only that, they gave a standing ovation. And when he felt that this is the way to go, they overruled him and said, no, Batman v Superman is the way to go. He didn't want to do that. He wanted to do Man of Steel Part 2. He only did it to be a team player. So to give the real short answer here, the ones who are responsible are the myriad of producers at Warner at the time. They're the ones that messed this up, not Snyder. I know it's easy to make Snyder a punching bag, and you can have issues with his creative vision. That's perfectly fine. But he is not the one who's responsible for the problems at DC. That would be the Warner executives.
Yeah. Mecha J is probably right. I can believe Peters would say this, and then he'd probably say, because I'm from the streets.
Yeah.
You have to hear the story to get that. You know that sword scene? Yeah, that's all me. Batman and me, we know each other because we're from the streets.
Has anybody made a better superhero movie than Christopher Nolan?
I I love the Dark Knight trilogy. Don't get me wrong, but
Jon
Script Doctor
Favreau.
isn't. Well, trilogy or series
first Iron Man.
or movie. Well, the first Ninja Turtles movie is probably the best comic book adaptation of all time, hands down.
I just think for general audiences, Batman
Superman
Begins
was pretty good. Batman
Okay.
Begins
Sam
is
Raimi,
okay.
Spider-Man.
Sam Raimi Spider-Man really
One
did a
and
good
two.
job.
Condor Man. Oh, sorry. what?
Condor, no, what?
Wrong
James
category,
Superhero.
Scribe.
No,
Wrong
sorry.
category.
Pardon me.
But I
pardon me,
mean, the
pardon me.
gold standard, of course, is Donner's Superman. I mean, obviously,
Okay.
everything's kind of compared to that, or at least it was for the longest time until the Avengers.
Burton's Batman.
Burton's Batman was huge.
That was
So
huge.
Shazam 2 really not up in that.
Not up there, no. Well, and people forget that Batman Begins underperformed when it came out because people thought it was a prequel to Burton's Batman or the last few Batman movies.
Oh, I never.
So they avoided it.
Many people still thought that all the way up until the release of The Dark Knight.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
even joking.
Yeah, I remember
Many
when
people
people
genuinely thought it was a prequel until it got a direct sequel.
because
and yet we still make movies for modern audiences.
right.
Yeah.
Well, no, and that's what I try to tell people is like people don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like they're just gonna continue to go see these movies because to them it's just another one of those, right? And speaking of another one of those, we'll come back to the super chats here in just a few minutes. But
Speaking
before
of
we lose
Batman.
everybody,
Right.
exactly, that's a good. Let's just get into this because I know we're gonna start losing folks here. There's been rumors going around for a while. I have been saying for a while the Batman 2 has been, kind of in rocky ground, and now we're starting to hear even more rumors. According to what kind of dumb shit did Grace say this week? Well, she may have actually revealed something to the public that Matt Reeves or his family may not want revealed to the public,
Mm.
Uh-oh.
if this is true.
Uh-oh.
Because if this is the case, her revelation is that somebody, maybe even Matt Reeves himself, is dealing with a quote unquote Chadwick Boseman situation.
Oh.
So read
That's
between
not
the
good.
lines on that one. Yeah, so there also has been talks now, Matt Reeves may exit the Batman if it doesn't start shooting by the end of this year. Now, I can't confirm or deny anything about the sick part. I have not heard anything to that. I did hear that Matt had some stuff going on in his personal life that was getting in the way of some things, but it hasn't gotten in the way of him producing other shows and stuff. Because, he was a part of that Batman animated series that was on Amazon and, of course, the Penguin. But that would also explain why he was kind of mostly persona non grata. That's not maybe not the word, but a missing parent, I should say,
Yeah.
on the Penguin more so than what we've heard. Now, I don't know for sure if this is true. If it's true, I hate to hear that. That sucks. But I would think if this was true and they were going to move on, they would have done it already. Right? I don't think they would have just sat on this. I don't know. What do you guys think? This, of course, take it with a grain of salt. This is coming from Grace Randolph and some other various sources. I know you guys have heard me talk about this now for years. So let's start with you, Chris. What do you think about this rumor?
Well, you're right that this movie has been delayed a whole bunch. I don't know if anybody remembers last year when former DC Comics creator Chris Wozniak was claiming that the original script for the Batman was stolen from him, basically ripped him off. So there was always sort of this question of, is this movie going to move forward? But, I think you're right. I think something's going on. There's some personal matters that have been delaying this. I don't think they're going to be able to rush it, though. 4 months ago, Gunn said they still didn't have a script. So no script.
Yeah, and I checked with Script Doctor, and last he had heard, or at least from his, script peoples inside the biz, they still haven't gotten a script yet. They've seen some pages, but they haven't gotten an entire script yet, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, at this point, what is the point? What are they even doing, right? What is DC trying to do with the Batman Part 2? What are we building a standalone Gotham universe that's separate from the DCU? I mean,
Can I add to that competes with the DCU, because we're talking a compete.
Well, they actually get into that in this, and I don't know who they spoke to as far as the source of this.
Is this
Or if they're-
superhero hype? Who is this?
This one is, I believe, this is
Okay,
comic book.
movie.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're just sourcing this all from Grace's
Yeah.
video because I didn't watch the video. Excuse me. But along the lines of what I've been hearing in that was that they just haven't got a script together yet, and Reeves put a lot of his ideas into the Penguin that were supposed to be in the Batman 2. And the other thing they keep bringing up is that they want to get this thing out now sooner than later, so it's, far enough ahead of Batman Brave and the Bold. Because that's the other thing I kept hearing is that if this thing doesn't get made pretty soon, that's going to get moving, and they're not going to want two competing Batmen in the theater at the same time, as Andre was pointing out.
I don't even know why they want this in the theater at this
Well,
point.
this was to tide them over until they figured out what was going to happen next, basically, because Batman makes money and they needed to make some money. Maybe.
Gunn
Go
was the
ahead.
final say on the script, right?
As far as I know, I think so. But go ahead. Scribe's going to say something.
Oh, I was just wondering is that maybe they've been whatever's happening with Matt Reeves and his family and or health situation. I mean, this is far away from a priority if that's what's going on. But as far as what the studio is concerned, and like Chris asked, like why are they keep dragging this thing on? I'm just wondering, is there any thought, and your guys' part elsewise, if keeping the Batman alive as its own franchise, even if it's just kind of being drug along, isn't possibly a fail-safe fallback if Gunn's universe doesn't take off?
I've heard things along those lines, Scribe, but I'm curious what Paulie's heard, because I know he's got to run. And I know Matt's not an actor, but have you heard anything? Because I know the other part of this that's supporting this is Pattinson just signed up, or is supposed to be signing up for Dune 3, which would shoot roughly around the same periods, and then he's in talks for some other stuff too. So what's going on there?
Oh no, I haven't heard.
You haven't heard anything? All right. Well, otherwise, go ahead and plug your wares.
Yeah, sorry, I got to split. I'll be live later today with Cameron Pasha. He's actually come over to the house, so we're gonna hang out here.
Cool.
And blah 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 blah, and it'll be a great conversation. 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. tonight. This Monday, though, Chris is coming on the slant for the first time right after Midnight's Edge for our post-Edge talk.
Very cool.
That's the rumor.
That's it, man. That's it. He's going to be called, Gris. Gris, come on, let's talk.
If you haven't had enough of me by the time the Nooner show is over, then come on over to the Latino Slant.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
Take care.
Likewise, pal.
Peace.
All right.
Man.
Take care.
So yeah. All right. So Chris, let's start with you on this. What do you feel about all this? And I don't know if have you guys heard what Pattinson, because this is what's kind of weird with it, because I don't know if Pattinson would say this if there was really something serious going on behind the scenes, but his quote was roughly, yeah, we're supposed to be shooting that after the Odyssey, but I don't know. I'd like to get it done. I was young when I started it. I don't want to be an old Batman or something like that, basically was his. And it just doesn't feel like you would say something like that if you're waiting for somebody who's like going through chemo or something, like, you know what I mean? Chris?
Yeah.
Like,
it might be the Chadwick Boseman comment from Grace. It's a little, it's just vague enough, because you're like, is this a family member? Could she be talking about Robert Pattinson even? Right? I mean, it's like, we don't even know.
Well, here's the thing with it.
Well, I'm already so cynical on this franchise as it is personally. And I was surprised as anyone that he was announced. What was that, yesterday or day before, for Dune? So
that's the thing that has everybody kind of whirling now. And that's where these rumors really started picking up, because yeah, how is he going to have time to shoot this? And then also Colin Farrell signed on for Sergeant Rocker is going to be, so like everybody's going to be busy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that the Sergeant Rock one, that is a good point, because that is in the DCU. So not sure how.
Peripherally.
Yeah. Well, if you read any old Brave and the Bold comics, you did see Batman and Sergeant Rock together. So
yeah.
Well, going off of what Scribe was saying is, yeah, I'm not wholly unconvinced that the only reason Warner Brothers isn't hanging on to some of these side projects is just in case the Superman doesn't perform. Because as we all know, Gunn's contract was only for 5 years, and he signed on, what was it, already a year and a half ago now over that?
Yep.
So by the time this Superman movie comes out and Supergirl, which is shooting now, that will be the end of that. And if things haven't performed. We've been hearing rumors nonstop about, Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi, and the rumor now is that Minecraft might have saved their ass for a little bit, because as I've reported on, and many people have said about Zaslav, is he will cut throat. He does not give a shit. You do not perform, bye-bye.
He's not either.
No, he's not going to sit there and give you a third or fourth chance.
Yeah.
And these guys have been on thin ice ever since they took over, and I don't blame them. They're kind of were adopting shit from a shit regime, but the problem we're hearing now is that they're not heading in the same direction that Zaslav wants, and Zaslav wants bigger movies. He wants things like Minecraft are what he wants. We need to start making money, is what he's saying, because the Batman and all these things, those are things that make money, and that's what he's keep asking is, why isn't Harry Potter and DC basically floating this fucking company, which
Exactly. It's a good question.
Yeah. So, and that's why I think this thing is still in play. If it's even, but at this point, I think if Matt Reeves was really that sick, why haven't you moved on to just bring in the team that did the Penguin show or something like that?
Right.
Somebody he trusts to oversee it and get it over the finish line. I don't know. What do you think, Paul? Or go ahead, Andre. Sorry.
Yeah, I was about to say, well, for that to happen, James Gunn would have to make it a priority, and maybe he doesn't want another popular Batman to compete with his own. He probably thinks that, people don't love the Batman as it is right now. They did love the Penguin. Let's not do another competing Batman too close to my own. I don't want anything to make my own look worse by comparison. That's what I would be thinking.
Yeah. And besides, Gunn was hired to be the captain of the ship. If he starts, leveraging more control or authority over to other parties, then he's just diminishing the whole purpose of him being there in the first place. I got to imagine there's a lot of internal politics and egos going on here.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
But also just Warner Brothers' direction. I mean, we one of the previous super chats asked the question, who is to blame for all of DC's troubles? And it kept being changing captains of the ship, the producers becoming the directors not having any power over anything, not having a clarified voice like Marvel did for a brief time with the story group. And if Gunn isn't able to be the guy, at least to try the experiment for once at DC, it's just going to fall in the same patterns as previous. And I guess this is going to be the test to see what happens with this whole Batman thing.
Well, and that's the thing, is there's been a lot of people have been saying things like that from the start, is that Gunn wasn't going to let this happen. In fact, Snyder Bros have pushed that to try and get the Batman fans to go against him as well. But Paul, as I was asking, what's your take on this whole situation here?
To me, Andre made a really good point, is why make a Batman movie that people aren't preloaded to be excited about? And that made me think, what series of films did I really, not excited, but apart from Lord of the Rings, apart from the first Superman, where the second one was okay and the third one was terrible. Everyone seems to trip over themselves constantly. It happened with Star Trek. The only series that stayed afloat and was relatively similar in quality, which I think was genius, was the Harry Potter series.
Mm-hmm.
And
they had a blueprint too, yeah.
I mean, what?
They also had the blueprint of the books too to go by.
It doesn't matter. People fuck it up. People have the blueprint of the fucking comics and they screw it up. So I mean,
fair enough.
It's you need a really good production company and an individual that can keep a steady, ship going. And we were always interested in the next Harry Potter movie. And none of them were bad enough to not stop you from getting excited about the next one, which is a weird thing to say, but I think is a fantastic accomplishment in the movie business. And Batman, the Batman is not getting me excited of why should I watch a second one? Why? I mean,
right.
And I think Andre is absolutely correct. What am I anticipating that isn't either new, that I'm fearful is going to be screwed up, like the Fantastic Four or the new Superman movie, it'd be really nice to have these people just get into the kind of groove that they got in with the Avengers and Endgame, which then suddenly that all ended. And you know what? It's not even a function of the studios hoping for $1 billion success after another. It's just, and again, the Harry Potter thing is the best example. Just give us the best you can, and if it's just okay, you're not kicking anybody in the teeth. You haven't, you have not race swapped Hermione halfway through, and you're not doing anything to rock the boat. It doesn't seem to be a difficult formula. I don't know where Hyman is right now. Someone needs to hire him and just say, here's the next series. You do this thing, whatever it happens to be. David, I think it's David Hyman, who did Harry Potter.
Yep.
Well, do you think anybody could be allowed to just make a straight adaptation anymore with the necessities of the message having to be imprinted in there by somebody in some studio somewhere?
Well, I mean, we do know that studios meddle. Just if you take a look at the history of Minecraft, the story of all the different versions is quite hilarious, actually. I talked about it a little bit in my subsequent video. And I even missed an individual. I can't remember who it was. The person who was on it first was, I can't remember, before McElhaney. So a lot of people went through that property, but I mean, it means that you need to have a really good person at the head of things to steer that boat. So is Gunn has the capability of creating that kind of stability like Heyman did for Potter? I don't know.
If Superman takes off like a rocket, no pun intended, but I'll take it, that'll give him a mandate and the leverage he needs to try to, push everybody else aside and all the confusion and uncertainty, I think. But it really depends on whether or not Superman does exceedingly well.
And I don't think it will do exceedingly well. I remember when the Brandon Routh Superman trailers came out and they previewed that sequence with the 747 crash, which was an incredible scene. So you sort of thought, okay, well, maybe, this might hit the right notes. Yeah. And then you saw the movie and Superman's kind of a stalker, and it really just didn't have what it needed to scratch that itch that people wanted. And it came, I guess, at around the right time. I think that if James Gunn's, if he were handling the DCU maybe 6-7 years ago, before this sort of superhero fatigue set in too, maybe he would have a better shot. But I really think he's up against a lot of resistance in the audience. We're much more savvy now. We're much more discerning. We've seen dozens of these superhero movies by now, and we already have sort of this nostalgic attachment to the Donner movies, rightfully so, probably, but we do tend to have rose-colored glasses about them. So it's going to be very difficult, I think, for Gunn to have a successful unified. I just don't think you can capture what the MCU up through Infinity War. I don't think you can do that twice. And I think you're right, Tom. I think they're just kind of hanging this out there like, okay, well, if Gunn screws it up, we've still got the Batman 2. But I'm not excited about that either. And you're right, Paul.
I'm still not wholly
Warner
convinced
Brothers
it's
is
going
not
to happen.
pushing Harry Potter right now is beyond me.
Well, they are. They're getting into it.
I know they've got the
screw it
TV
up.
show. I know they've got the TV show, but good grief. Again, I don't understand the profitability of a streaming network. We'll see. I just think cinemas, I think they're undercutting themselves at the cinemas doing that. So I don't
need to chop the prices. It's a working man's entertainment. They need to slash the prices below $10
for going to the theater.
To the theater.
Yeah.
It's a burger.
You're right. You're right. Or turn them all into cinema taverns so we can go eat and watch.
Yeah, but what you're saying is kind of irrelevant now that the number one film is just making buco bucks and people are dragging chickens to the theater. Paul.
It's an outlier. You cannot
outlier or not, it doesn't fucking matter. The fact that people will pay that much money if you put something in the theater that they want to see kind of makes your point moot. It's not about how much it costs. No, it does. It totally does. It's not about how much it costs. It's about what you're getting out of the entertainment value. And this goes back to something a director we talked to said the same goddamn thing, because he was like, he had a movie coming out and he asked a friend of his, well, do you think the audience is going to like it? Do you think it's whatever? And he's like, well, it has to entertain them just as much as Titanic did. And he fucking, his heart sinking. He goes, what do you mean? My movie's nothing like Titanic. He goes, it doesn't matter. It just has to entertain them as much as Titanic did.
One movie does not a pattern make, unfortunately.
Yes.
Yes.
I know. But my point is, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes. Okay. So I've made this point before. So I think it's dangerous, as the scribe said, an outlier does not make the rule. And number one. Number two, I guarantee you there's going to be popular-ish, semi-popular movies out there. And the kid that told the parents that I got to, we're all going to see Minecraft, and then maybe another movie comes up on the horizon. The parents are going to go, we blew our budget on Minecraft. That's the only movie we're going to watch as a family this year. Wait till next year and we will pick the movie. That is what I'm talking about with result. They're not going to be going to movies over and over again. Even if another one pops up that is semi-popular, the parent is going to say, we can't afford it.
Like weekly movie going is no longer a thing.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah.
But I think also with Minecraft's never been adapted. We've had 9 Superman movies. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the sequels never surpass the original. I mean, yes, there's some rare exceptions, but we've seen Superman in the movies. We've not seen Minecraft in the movies. We're going to go to the Minecraft movie if we have to make a choice, right?
Yeah, the second one's going to be Mein Kampf.
Okay. That being said, I still think we're overplaying this idea that we're acting like it costs $80 a movie ticket, right? Like that's what upsets
Family
me.
of 4.
I still get it. I get it. But it's still cheaper than a lot of other things to do out there. And you can come up with a bunch of free things in the chat. But how many of those free things are your kids going to want to do? I get it, guys. And everybody keeps saying this, but I know this for a fact because I know plenty of families who have 3 or 4 small kids. And that's one of the few consistent things that they still do is go to the movies.
Okay.
Right. In fact, they just drugged them all to Minecraft this last weekend. And that's where I started getting an inkling that this might be a thing. Because I was like, holy shit, that theater's full and there's tons because they were sharing pictures on Instagram and shit.
Well, it's like the Rocky Horror Picture Show for kids.
It is, but it's a totally different thing at the same time. We had that exact conversation the other day when you weren't here, Chris, because it is like Rocky Horror, but Rocky Horror had to build over time through Rocky Horror itself.
Yeah.
This is something that if they could tap into this in a different way with other things, which I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah.
It was something that I don't know if anybody had the idea they were going to be able to make it work except for the directors and the people involved with the project. And even them, they probably didn't have an inkling it was going to be this big. And of course, now everybody's like, well, you guys should have seen it was just so many people were still playing this game and it's such a popular game. And it's like, that doesn't mean shit. Okay. Because that does not translate to the screen, or Borderlands or some of these other things would be much bigger movies and properties than they were. Yeah. It just so happened that this caught a zeitgeist of something like, we'll never be able to understand because we're not fucking 12. Right? Like,
yeah. Well, but there is some precedence like Five Nights at Freddy's and things like that.
A little bit, yeah.
If you do it right, and I think the difference between the Rocky Horror and now is you do have the social media and the interconnectedness that everybody has. But again, it's even like with Barbie I think it was last year, right? It's like, oh, we've never had a
2 years ago. It was 23.
So it was a huge thing. It's like, oh man, this is an event. And so I think the Minecraft is making it an event. I don't think the 9th Superman movie is going to be an event.
That's true. And it's the same kind of thing with Barbie, right? Because we never actually had a live action on this big screen Barbie film before. That's a thing. But like, look at Tron now. We were talking about Tron earlier. I think the third movie is going to perform worse than the last one did.
Oh, I'm sure it will. No,
and I'll tell you why, because hasn't it been longer since that second film now, Andre, help me out here, than it was between the second film and the first film?
Well, let's take a moment to see. The first film was 1984. Was it? 1982. Okay, 82. And then 2000 2010.
Was it that late? I thought it was a little earlier than that, but okay.
I think it was 2009.
Okay, so all right.
I think,
Okay.
yeah. So that's then 10 years, 20 years,
15
20,
years?
20. No, like more than that. Like from
I mean,
1982 to 90 is 8 years. Then it's 18 to 2000, and then 28 years to 2010.
Good
That's
gosh.
almost 3 decades right there. No, we are still shorter distance in time between.
Yeah,
between Tron Legacy
you're right.
and
We're
Ares.
15 years,
Yes,
from Tron
yeah.
Legacy. Yeah,
Yeah. So no, it's not the longer distance.
we're
in
close
time
though.
between.
Damn it!
It's lengthy.
We're approaching, but we're not there. It's not that.
And
bad.
here's another thing, and I know
Yeah.
this is kind of off topic, but it's on topic at the same time. We're also that amount of time since last Friday the 13th movie came out.
Now there we are in the biggest gap ever.
And that's what is wrong with fucking Hollywood right there. You want to talk about their bread and butter, the things they used to just chuck out all the time. Police Academies, Friday the 13th, you fucking name it. Pink Panthers, go all the way back. All the stuff they used to do for cheap and that would make sure that at the end of the year, their bottom line would still have some money on it.
Bring
You-
back the low budget movie.
Low budget,
Mhm.
mid
Working
budget
Man,
films.
like Working
Man is
Yes.
an
Yes.
example of that. Yes.
I'm
That's the
yeah.
biggest issue with Hollywood, and as I keep saying, and I'm standing by it, the problem is they'll never do anything for cheaper. They'll just try and find another way to do it and make somebody else pay for it. Unless you're somebody like Sly Stallone who sees what this is really all about.
That's what the
And those-
DEI was all about. They got it
Yeah.
paid for.
The problem is by killing scripted shows on network television, they killed the farm team.
Mhm.
Yeah. Good point.
That's the problem.
So true. And I know we're losing some gentlemen here. We got some super chats. I want to make sure we don't have any specific for anybody who's leaving. I don't see any offhand. So I know Paul and Chris or Scribe and Paul have to leave us, right? Or
It's a trifecta, but I can hang
Yeah.
on a little.
Are you
longer.
hanging on for a little longer? Okay. So
I
all
need
right.
to. Sure.
We got a couple more super chats left, but other than that, so Paul, what do you got going on?
I should have an appalling news later on today.
Oh,
Yay.
sweet.
All right.
Lots of stupid stuff.
Scribbles, what about you?
Well, last night we answered the age-old question: can you be a stripper and a feminist on TED Excellence?
And the answer is
Well, anyone before watching the thing would have said yes. After listening to the lady talk, I have no idea.
Now, what about male stripper? Can you be a
No, we
male
don't talk about
feminist
male
and a
stripper. Well, I'll just say it in summary of that talk, there is no downside to sex work.
Oh my goodness.
I hate to break most women's heart, but like 90% of male strippers are gay.
That's right.
Yeah. Outside of that, in about an hour and a half.
There is a poll tax.
Uh-oh.
Now, see, well, now my thumbnail said pole position, so I too can play the word game. Yeah, so about an hour and a half from now, 12:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern, will be my next episode of DEI Death Watch. And
But that would
the
have been
theme-
a better title. Do strippers have to pay a poll tax?
yes, they do actually, because they're not they're technically all independent contractors, so they're basically sort of like barbers. They sort of rent the space and then they keep their tips. So you're correct, Paul.
Yeah, but see, I'm talking about to attract an audience to your video.
Okay, I know.
Listen to this man. He knows what he's talking about.
I'm terrible at marketing myself. What can I say? Anyway, about an hour and a half from now, if you want to find out about how all the public schools are following New York's example and deciding to publicly say, we are going to defy the federal government when it comes to DEI doing away with in our public schools, well, 2 more states, actually, I take it back, 3 more states have joined the charge. It's going to be interesting to find out. And I look at these things as well because the trends you see inside of the institutions that deal with the federal level are a reflection of what's going on in corporate America and as well as Hollywood. So that'll be at 12:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern, and DEI Death Watch.
Cool, very cool.
Awesome
Sounds
sauce.
intriguing.
All right. Well, check you later, boys. And
Yep. Bye, guys.
let's
Have a
get
good
back
weekend.
into
Hi,
these super
everyone.
chats.
Have a good one.
See you, Paul.
Indeed.
Nice weekend.
And speaking of
Likewise.
Chatto, Dark King says the gay thing, it's nightclubbering time.
There you go.
Yes, indeed. And then we have Jason Webster who says, coming soon. Unfortunately, from Disney Marvel, Fantastic Boar, starring a miscast Pedro Pascal. See it limp into theaters. Sadie, thank you.
Whoa.
Yeah, she probably saw the neighbor's new dog. I should imagine they just got a new dog right there, and yeah, that leads to some competition. So, moving on. Ultimate Metal Ever says for £5. I know I may be jumping the shark, but if the rumors are true about the Fantastic Four movie from the Wrap article, how much do you guys see the movie making? Ooh, that's an interesting question. How much do you see it making, Chris?
I'm gonna say between 350, 450.
I think that's a fairly good estimate thereabout. I don't think that the interest isn't going to be there.
Yeah.
It's a tainted brand, and the MCU right now is an even more tainted brand. So I'm not optimistic on that movie's behalf at all. I think it's going to do better than maybe Captain America, but then again, maybe not. So 400 million worldwide. I think that's a good estimate right there. And then we have Mr. Godzilla, who says for $5, it probably won't be a great movie, but stuff like this Fantastic Four crap is why I'm more excited for Primal War. A fun Vietnam dino action film? Yes, please. I'm not familiar with that, actually.
Sounds fun.
Sounds fun, yeah. Bring on dinosaurs in war.
Yeah.
What can go wrong?
I love it.
Yeah. And with that, let's see. Oh, no, there's more here. I just have to scroll down. And then Istaphobos says for $2, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is when the MCU became bait and switch. Yeah, that's when we saw the Disney Plus strategy in full force. Mr. Godzilla also says for $5, does anyone feel like me that Multiverse of Madness only did better than expected because of the No Way Home setup? It was supposed to come out first. Yes, absolutely. And also, this was when many people still believed in the MCU. Not sure that's the case anymore.
Well, and the trailer was attached to it.
Yeah, exactly.
So you had an audience stuck right there that wanted more Spider-Man and Doctor Strange.
You would have imagined that it would have been a natural continuation, but that was another way the movie failed. Yep. And Scotty says for $1.99, Pedro Pascal as Reedy Ricardo. Oh, yeah, I see what you did there. I would have done the drum thing if I could, but I can't. So, we'll have to wait until Doggy compares with that or cooperates. And Shadow Dancer, the Red Mage, has been a member for 30 months, saying toxic masculinity. When you tell a woman, no, that's the worst thing you can never do that to a woman ever.
The second thing you don't say is calm down.
Oh, that's the first thing you don't say.
That's even worse.
Right. That's wisdom.
Yeah.
That's spoken from experience. And
you just chuck chocolate and leave.
That's it. Oh, Tom, you are a genius.
Yeah. And Kalechi Oki has been a member for 15 months. We are glad to have you. Hope to see you on the membership stream on Sunday. And Soul Nightmare says for $5, Superman will reign over Jurassic World, Jurassic Park 3.5, and Fantastic for the third time with a vengeance. Yeah, that's the thing.
We'll see.
I don't know about Jurassic World. It could go either way, but I don't know. I think it's kind of played out at this point. You got nothing attaching it to the originals at this point.
Yeah. Mr. Tickletrunk says for $2 Canadian, Pascal will be hired more because of his 9.3 million Instagram. Yeah, that also
that's
helps.
part of it too. That's a big part of it.
Yeah. And bass player also on that topic wonders, to those who know Pedro, I have a question. Does he enjoy golfing? Well,
he's a putter.
Yeah. And JWT6577 has been a member for 29 months, which is awesome. Looking forward to the stream. And Tigneal89 says for $2, can't wait for Hagrid to be a crippled lesbian. Well, we did get some casting, and they did find some old drunken Irish guy, I think. I don't remember who it was, but he looked kind of Hagrid-like. And then Goa 141NO says for $50 Mexican.
Oh, we missed this one for Paul. Sorry.
Oh, sorry about that. Paul, Americans will buy movie tickets on 96-month installments, just like cars. That's how we got here in the first place. Credit inflates everything. Yeah. Brilliant economy. And to Neil89 says for $5, I'm not a dad or anything yet, but I've heard from a couple of friends that their kids just go outside instead because lectures and sanctimony are chores.
Kids need to play outside more.
They should.
Indeed. And Goa says for another 50 Mexican dollars, Tom, Borderlands fan base is small. The movie would never have the pull that Minecraft does. Their last game was a sales disappointment, but not a fail.
No, but it was big at one time, and and the point is you should be able to translate, and that's kind of the whole point of Minecraft. I think at the end of the day, whether it's a small fan base, large fan base, it doesn't matter. The way Hollywood used to make these movies and they would become popular is they would actually try to gear them more towards the initial fan base. And then the initial fan base would bring in their friends, and then they'd bring in some friends, and so on and so forth. And that's kind of how these things would balloon, right?
And I agree with Tom's example. It's just that, with the point you're making was a bad example, but the point is a good one.
Right.
Mortal
Mortal Kombat or
Borderlands,
whatever, yeah.
Yeah, you should have said Warcraft.
Yep.
Yeah, you've brought that one up. That's probably a better example. Thank you.
Yeah.
Or like The Sims. They're going to do a Sims movie in a year or two. A ton of people have played The Sims over. Do you really think that Sims movie is going to do that well? I doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, a Space Invaders movie is not going to, or asteroids or anything like that.
Or we have a perfect example. Super Mario movie in 1993 was the biggest game in the world up until that point. Still, it couldn't bring people into theaters. Now could it? Which only goes to show. Just
Johnny
because
Legs. I mean, come on.
Yeah, just because there's an audience for the game doesn't automatically mean that those gamers are going to show up for the movie.
And that's an oddball, because here's the thing with Super Mario Brothers. I still wonder if they'd have released that movie at any other time had it done better. Because you guys got to remember what that came up against in 93. Didn't it open like the week or before or after like Jurassic Park?
I have no idea.
I think if I remember right, it did. Because like that was like the dino era. I remember because that movie and I think Last Action Hero got killed that summer from Jurassic Park, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. Somebody correct me in the chat. But either way, because like Mortal Kombat came out a few years later and did gangbusters.
Yeah.
And again, I know a lot of people gripe about the Mario Brothers movie, but I remind people, watch that movie back to back with the new one, and you'll be surprised at how many same story beats there are in both. Like even the beginning is exactly the same. The brothers are going to a job and their truck breaks down.
How did the Double Dragon movie do?
Bad.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But that was ill-conceived from the start, kind of like the Street Fighter thing. It was just like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
See, now that's got a big, huge, not huge, but a big cult following now. The Street Fighter one does. See, now Street Fighter, if you did a Street Fighter movie proper, might actually do well. It all depends. Though.
We'll see how this the one you just mentioned, Mortal Kombat 2 or whatever.
Yeah, well, I don't know. The first one didn't turn too many people on. Andre and I swear are the only people on Earth who liked that movie.
Yeah.
And then a reminder for Rumble Rants, which we did get a couple already. Let me double check and see if there weren't any more. I don't see any more, so I think you sent that before I'd gotten the other ones in there. Or at least you noticed that I'd gotten them in there anyway. But thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk, for the reminder just the same. And Kalekioki says, speaking of Rumble Rants, since he's usually the one who sends them, Sonic movie gave new breath to the life into Sonic. True, although Sonic did have, as we learned, a very strange fan base. I was new to that. Andre, on the other hand, I think you kind of gave me a heads up on that, but when we did the Ken Penders interview and all that kind of business.
Yeah, that was, I got some help for that myself.
But yeah, that was kind of like, wow, there's a whole world of this that I did not know about.
And then we got going to be a Crash Bandicoot movie anytime soon.
Okay, so this is funny. My kid is sending us a super chat.
Oh,
he's just here. He goes, y'all don't know it, but I was just standing behind my father. And in my opinion, like the one stream, all the Minecraft movie was a cash grab for Gen Z.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Good observation.
He was listening the other day to our Minecraft talk. Yeah. Ultimate Metal Ever sends in £2 and says, do you see Minecraft being a $1 billion movie? It's got the potential.
At this point, yes.
It has the potential, and its daily showings are doing very well. During the week when school is still in session. So but that's the thing is we haven't really discussed it too much, but we did bring up the chicken thing earlier. And that's like, it really bums me out after we were talking about it on like Monday and stuff. Cause I know you weren't here, Chris, but we were saying, look, I don't want to discourage what's going on. Cause look, these kids found their thing. I'm happy for them. Just don't be stupid, right? Popcorn's one thing. The theaters need to just suck it up and get somebody in there to sweep up afterwards. But I understand, throwing sodas at the screen.
Sure.
But who the fuck thought it was smart? Why would you bring a chicken to the show?
How did you get a chicken in? How did that do? How did they do that?
That's the best question I have is how the fuck did you get that thing in there? That tells me that somebody who works at the theater let them in because they
That's an inside job right there.
Well, or they're slackers, man. Come on. When was the last time you went to a theater? They're all slackers. I did see a great video of a kid making popcorn, and he was doing it like the bartenders in Cocktail, which it was great. But most of those people are just slackers. They probably, whatever. Okay.
Well, and that's the problem. As I've said a million times over, all the things we hate about theaters were brought on because of the studio's greediness, and they couldn't afford to hire people anymore. They don't have ushers. They barely have ticket people.
That's right.
And I've noticed that's pissed me off recently because even if you don't pre-order your tickets online, a lot of time they'll go over to the kiosk and pick your seats.
Yeah, go to the concession and
slide your card.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, well, I could have done this online. It's like, well, yeah, they would prefer you do it online. Yeah, because you want to charge me for the fucking convenience fee. That's why. And that's kind of what I was getting at with Paul. It's like, it's not so much the ticket prices, it's the convenience fees and all the other bullshit they stack on top of it all. Yeah. But no, Ultimate Metal Forever or Metal Ever. Minecraft might just be the first $1 billion movie of the year. Now, I don't think it's going to be the biggest movie of the year. I still think it's got, we've got Superman, we've got, Lilo and Stitch coming out here in not too long from now. And we've got also, Avatar at the end of the year, which you can't count out. So I think those three movies have a chance of doing bigger than Minecraft did. But Superman's going to rely completely on if it's a good movie or not. I think it's going to have a big opening, but word of mouth is going to decide that film. Minecraft is a phenomena. Now, I don't know how long it's going to last. I mean, it could fizzle out by the end of this week, and this weekend be
depending on this weekend.
Yeah, we'll have to see how this weekend plays.
Yeah,
but I think the kids are into it too, not just the teenagers. So,
well, I think so. And Minecraft's been around for a minute.
It has. Mm-hmm. And then we got Retro Respawn in the UK. Schools are on break for Easter, so there's potential for Minecraft. I know some parents have taken kids twice. See, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
this is what I'm saying. This is bigger than just the TikTok trend. This is bigger. It has to be making this kind of money. That was like with Barbie and Top Gun, right? We all said it's like, this is not normal. This isn't just the regular general audience showing up. This is people showing up that don't normally go to see movies. That's what's happening here. Like with Top Gun, it was a lot of the dads and grandpas who hadn't gone to see a movie in 10, 15, 20 years. It's with Barbie, it's your mom and your grandma and your aunt or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. It was an event. And I actually think this may be the highest performer of the year. I don't think we were talking dog catching. We were talking about Fantastic Four sort of estimates, and I don't even think it's going to hit 500.
I think it'll do better than that, but you might be right. It might be the fantastic failure of 400 million. Yeah, and if it does that, then that's
400. Yeah, I think you're right, pal.
That might be if it doesn't do better than like 500, 600, 700 million, they're gonna panic.
Yeah,
because that is a big problem. Because that's their lead-in for their big Avengers event.
Exactly.
Oh, no. Yeah. Where are you at, Jeffrey? You were just here. Because it's the same bullshit they were pulling at Walmart. Nobody wants to work. He's probably sitting on his truck. Yeah. That too. I know. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. That's the end of our super chats. And we are caught up on the Rumble side. Let me refresh just to make sure, though, because it hasn't moved in a while. Oh, no, I haven't got anything new over there. Andre, anything to remind everybody about? When are we going to do the member chat since you brought it up?
We'll aim for Sunday. Sunday
at
details.
Roughly the same-ish time about we do the show.
Same-ish time, maybe a little bit later.
All right. Sounds good. And looks like we're good over here on the chat side of things. Cool. Chris, anything you want to plug?
Man, as always, check us out over on bleedingfool.com, and we'll be posting stories all weekend. We've got a little write-up on this Sue Storm, Vanessa Kirby business. I think it's on the top of the page. I haven't been lately.
Oh, all right.
But yeah, it's one of our top stories today. But that's it. I'm going to try to show up again Monday. Oh, no. Now our top story is James Cameron's 180 on AI. So, again, I think he's a cyborg from the future.
Yeah.
Like James Cameron. We'll see. But
yeah, we were talking about that last night.
Yeah, I'll be tuning in this weekend and just having fun. I hope everybody has a good time. Maybe go see Working Man. Go see that. Take your kids to see that Easter Jesus animated movie, the
King of Kings.
I thought you were about to say, take your kids to see Working Man. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Well, you go see
education.
Working Man. The kids can go see the King of Kings. That's that Charles Dickens story, which looks really good. I saw a trailer for it. I'd heard about it because it's from the same studio that put out Sound of Freedom, Angel Studios.
Co-produced by Angel, yeah.
That's right. And I saw the trailer and like, oh my gosh, this actually looks really, really good. I'm impressed. So I think there's a lot of stuff to go out and see. And of course, Minecraft's still out there. So we can have fun at the theaters this weekend.
Indeed.
Awesome.
Then Jesus Davila sends us in a last minute super sticker.
Speaking of Jesus.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Jesus. And gifted a membership. He's continuing to give the gift.
Wow.
There you go.
Happy Easter.
You, Jesus.
Yeah.
And happy Easter indeed. Even though it's a couple weeks out.
It is. Yeah. It's just Easter week is starting. That's right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in today. We appreciate it. Andre, anything else before we go?
Yeah, no, just check back this weekend. We'll have several videos dropping. So with that, it's time for some koalas in the rain.
Helps have it set up for the right thing.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given, koala, koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given, koalas in the rain.